island contracts.
Weather now frosty and sunny this morning. Isolated showers will develop this afternoon with highest temperatures of 7 to 9 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
Streaming exclusively on Disney Plus. Disney and Pixar's Turning Red.
I'm Maylin Lee. My whole life, I've been making my own moves, and nothing's gonna get in my way.
From the studio that brought you Toy Story.
What's happening to me?
It's gonna be me.
I'm a gross red monster.
Turning Red.
You're so cute.
Sick. I've always wanted a tail.
A new original movie streaming soon.
Maybe I like this new me.
Exclusively on Disney Plus. 18 plus subscription required. T's and C's apply.
And now it's time for the talk of the Northwest, the 9 to noon show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Yes, indeed. Good morning to you. It is Friday, the 4th of March, and you're very welcome along to another edition of the 9 till noon show. It's me back again, off yesterday. I'm off and on like a polite person's hat, I suppose you could say, but unfortunately we had a bit of a positive COVID diagnosis in the house, so I'm broadcasting from home here for as long as it lasts, but my good friend and colleague Dolan Show on standby if technology should let us down. I don't anticipate it will. Okay, we're joined on the programme today by our panel as always, and we'll say good morning first to to former Senator Catherine Noon, and lawyer as well. Catherine, good morning to you. Hello, Catherine, can you hear me okay?
Good morning, I have you muted, sorry.
That's okay, it wouldn't be a Zoom situation if one of us had the other muted. How are you keeping?
Sorry about that. Yeah, I can hear you fine now. I hope you can hear me.
And we're also joined on the programme by Seamus McDade, Managing Director of Football. Seamus, good morning to you.
Morning, Greg. How are we doing?
I'm doing fine, and we have another guest hopefully joining us shortly. I'll start with you, Catherine Noon. I mean, obviously, the one topic everyone is talking about at the moment is the situation in Ukraine. And every morning you wake up, or at any stage you switch on the news, it becomes all the more horrific, seemingly. I mean, we'll go into the ins and outs of it in a moment, but just on the human scale, what we're witnessing is just, it is actually unbelievable in every sense of the word.
Well, anytime I go to speak about it, I can't find the words. I don't know if you know what I mean by that, but, you know, I have a friend who's a journalist in Ukraine, and I know him for many years, and he's constantly putting things on his social media, and obviously he's writing articles. And I was sending a message the other day to say, you know, I hope you're okay, and it's so horrific. I couldn't find the words, because the words horrific, horrendous, they don't cover it. You know, it's just such an appalling situation for the Ukrainian people, the unnecessary loss of life. And I had a very disturbing situation for myself the other day. I was in Dublin, and I was heading to get the bus, and I hopped in a taxi, and the taxi driver, I could see from his name that he was definitely at least Eastern European, but probably Russian. I said, "Oh, where are you from?" And he was Russian. And I said, "Oh, it's a tough time to be Russian." And he said, "Oh, I don't find it a tough time at all to be Russian." And it transpired in the next minute or two that he was totally on message with Putin. And I just found it such an uncomfortable situation to be in. I couldn't wait to get out of the car. And I don't know, that's going off in a tangent a bit, but it's horrifying. It's just horrifying.
Yeah, and maybe it's a reality that you know that maybe that's why you felt that emotion, because it's a reality you probably expected, or we probably expected, that everyone is horrified, but then you end up speaking to someone who understands the motivation. What about I tried to describe
brainwashing as well. Yeah, serious brainwashing.
I was trying to describe my feelings about how the awful stuff that's happening in this world and has been happening, and I didn't feel it like I feel this. You know, there's the exact same thing is happening in other parts of the world, right? You know, we know what Israel is doing. We know what Putin is doing in other parts of the world, and there's no talk of sanctions really as such. There's no as it relates to, say, for instance, Israel. You know, there is a double standards going on here, isn't there?
Well,
I mean, you talked about brainwashed, you know, that Russian person being brainwashed, but I mean, why aren't we saying, hold on a second, a life in Palestine or Yemen is equal to that in Ukraine, why aren't we using every tool in our armory to stop all wars?
Well, unfortunately, I suppose we're not using every tool in our armory to stop this war, and I think it feels, quite honestly, closer to home. This is Europe, and they're our neighbours, and they desperately want to be in the European Union. I visited there. I did an election monitoring mission in 2014. I mean, it's Kiev, as RT have started calling it, is a very cosmopolitan, modern, young. The young people are educated. They're on their bikes. It's just such a lovely city, and they're such lovely people. And
as are the people in the other countries I mentioned.
Oh God, of course. Well, of course. And I visited a lot of those other countries.
And Catherine,
too,
I suppose
what I'm
I hope you don't think I'm actually trying to say that you're not saying that. By the way, I'm kind of trying to tease out how I'm feeling.
Why
about
we're all
the whole
feeling
situation.
this way. Yeah, why we're all feeling this way, because I think what I'm trying to say, in perhaps a long-winded way, is that it feels close to home. And I have a friend in Dublin who's Ukrainian. It just feels very close to home. I have Israeli people, and I know people from many parts of the world, but somehow this feels very close to home, and somehow it feels that it's a new war starting, in a sense, because they are a sovereign democratic country. And a lot of the other wars that you mentioned, not that that's a reason for them to continue, but they have been going on for decades. So this seems like a situation that was, for the most part, peaceful, apart from in Donetsk and a few of the would-be separatist parts of the Ukraine. That it was a peaceful, democratic country. So I think that's a large part of why people are thinking this is so unnecessary and so horrific.
All right, Seamus McDade, as I mentioned, Managing Director of Football Special. As I say, there's lots around this that we'll get into, but I suppose just your views on what we've been talking about so far.
Oh, it's just horrific. I mean, it is like Catherine said, it's hard to comprehend. It's very difficult to kind of put words around this. It feels like we're living through, it's like we're living through history. It's happening in front of us now. And, it's just, we're all kind of glued to it. And I feel that sometimes, we're all guilty. I'm looking at my phone, looking at the updates as if this is like a movie and not real life for the people of Ukraine. And it's just horrendous. And the only thing that would give me, I would be heartened by is the fact that there has been such a response to this, that the Western world has tried to come to their aid through economic measures. And even when we see that, the impending refugee crisis, how welcoming nations have been, I would hope that this could be the way that we react to all wars moving forward and all acts of aggression from bigger nations to small nations.
Well, we could start that right now, because, this course is seen as this is being approached in a very different way as it was, say, for instance, when 6,000 of us promised our bedrooms to Syrian refugees, and then the mood changed very quickly in that regard. Are we going to see the same pattern unfold this time round?
I don't feel like we will, because it does seem to be a groundswell of support, that the whole Western world is really up in arms over this, and there's a real outpouring of support for the Ukrainian people. Will it change over time? If we get the 14,000 or so refugees that we're supposed to get into Ireland, will that change the mood? You would hope not, and there's nothing right now which says that we will. I guess that's all we can do now. It obviously is one thing to say economic sanctions are great, but they're not going to do a lot for you when your house has just been blown up, or some of your loved ones have died.
Exactly.
But they are what we have. They're the only thing in our arsenal right now that we're prepared to do. So we do what we can do, and we try welcome refugees, and we try send humanitarian aid, and that is where we're at with our response.
And is that enough? Because again, these stories progress in form and in pattern, and people are going to the petrol station this morning. At least in certain parts of the country, they're seeing petrol at €2 per litre or above. Anyone ordering home heating oil today is facing a massive increase compared to just a couple of days ago. We are going to start hearing more and more as the farmers struggle to simply grow crops because of the fertilizer and what have you that we're reliant on from both Ukraine and Russia. I just wonder, these sanctions, we are really, really going to start feeling the impact shortly. I wonder what space we'll be in another month or 2 months when having this conversation about, all we can do is sanctions.
Well, I think that's why it's kind of important to stress that this is our, these are the sacrifices that the Irish public are going to have to make to actually help the Ukrainians. We're going to have to end up with higher gas and petrol prices, and we're going to end up with, higher costs of fertilizer. These are what we are kind of prepared to sacrifice as an Irish people. We're not prepared to sacrifice, we are a neutral nation, so we're not going to send troops, and we're not lobbying so that there would be NATO intervention here. This is what we've got. The next iteration would have to be, an armed response. And yes, it will be tough on people, and people who are trying to heat their homes and all will feel it. But this is. But
what we are saying though is that, Putin is clear that he wants to take Ukraine, and we are not going to stop him other than imposing sanctions on him. So to avoid a further conflict, to avoid NATO v Russia, and who's to say where that might end up globally, Ukraine is going to be sacrificed to retain the peace of elsewhere then.
Yeah, I mean, I think to be honest, you're saying that's the blunt truth. That's the reality.
I mean, that's a real hard to explain situation, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it is, and it's very hard it's very, very difficult for the Ukrainian people. But yeah, we in essence, the Western world have said, we're going to do to a point what we can do. We're not going to do everything possible we can do. We're going to do what we can do without escalating this further. But at some point, Greg, does it become warmongering for us, the three of us, to sit here and say, no, we should send in the troops to help the Ukrainian people, because that will escalate the conflict any further? Okay, well, I'm not suggesting that. Sorry, I want to bring Cathal in a moment, but just you were going to make a quick point there.
Catherine. I suppose it's a question of whether we want to escalate the war, which I think Europe is trying desperately not to do, and that's the reason for the financial sanctions and all the other sanctions that have been put in place. And I mean, it is within the government's power to help with the inflation that is expected and has been happening, and they can reduce, especially on the price of oil, they can reduce the excise temporarily to take up some of the difficulty for people, especially, I suppose, over the next month or two until the country gets a bit warmer. But definitely that's something the government can do, and I believe they are talking about doing something along those lines.
I think they'll have to. Thanks for that, Catherine. Independent Deputy Cathal Berry joins us as well. Cathal, thank you very much for taking time out this morning. I mean, we were all aware of what's going on, and you've heard some of what Seamus and Catherine have had to say. What say you?
Good morning, Greg. I hope you can hear me okay.
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, fantastic. It's just, I'm very much in agreement with what Catherine and Seamus are saying there. Look, it's a terrible situation, but I think Ireland can do a bit more. I've been listening to your conversation. I'm just going to focus on the refugee situation first of all. And you asked, why is this being treated slightly different to other refugee situations? I think there's a crucial difference here. Catherine kind of touched on it from a Ukraine perspective. First of all, that it's a local problem. It's in our neighborhood. It's in our continent. So it's much more of a connection. But perhaps more importantly, we've seen that this refugee population that's coming into Ireland, it won't be males. So Ukraine is basically in a wartime posture at the moment. All males of fighting age have been told they're not leaving the country. So if you're between 16 and 60, you can't leave Ukraine. So the vast majority of refugees from Ukraine coming to this country will be female and will be kids. So it'll be women and children. That's a different situation than previous refugee waves coming into this country. Secondly, a lot of the elderly males won't leave either. I've been speaking a lot to the Ukrainian community here in Ireland over the last few days, and a lot of them are adamant that a lot of the over 60 who don't have to stay behind are still willing to stay in their villages. And also there's a lot of Ukrainian men leaving Ireland at the moment, travelling out to Ukraine to do the fighting. So it's a different dynamic and a different calculus this time around from a refugee perspective, if that answers your question.
Yeah, okay. Listen, we're going to talk more about this, and neutrality was raised in the Dáil yesterday, really, either directly or indirectly. And there's a lot to be discussed in that regard. We want our views too, of course, from our listeners. 086 60 25,000, that is the text WhatsApp line. The lines are open as usual. 086 60 25,000. If you want to give us a call, it's 07491 25,000. Caroline is taking your calls. Your emails also, get them into us, comments@highlandradio.com. A caller says it's a bit rich blaming war for fuel hikes. Prices were sky high before the war, but I think it's fair to say that a lot of people feared what was coming down the line, and there was stuff going on in the background that preempted all of this that would have contributed to it. But I take your point. Another, Greg, before Christmas, got 1,000 litres of oil for €800. This morning, 1,000 litres is costing me €1,300. If those prices remain, that's my last order of oil. We as a family simply couldn't afford that. You're using an awful lot of oil. I don't mean that funny, by the way, with €1,000 in a couple of months. Be that as it may, I would, if you can order it, you probably want to order it soon because it's only going one way, and that seemingly is up. That lady says it's a peaceful nation. Sadly, it was at war for a number of years. Sometimes people's comments and preach on something they don't know about. The war is 8 years old. 14,000 people, Catherine, on both sides in the eastern part of Ukraine have died since 2014. I mean, and that's a huge loss of life that we can't, I don't want to say disregard because it might sound like I'm saying that's what you're doing, which I'm not. But there was a war raging.
No, I know exactly what she's saying there. I suppose I didn't get to expand her, but I mean, that is actually Putin's justification for this war, is what's happening in the separatist states. And, you talked about double standards earlier, but he is exemplifying double standards as well, because he's using that as justification to go in and with killing a sledgehammer or killing a fly with a sledgehammer. It's like he is criticizing the Ukrainians on the one hand for being heavy-handed in their separatist areas, and he is going into an entire nation with a million times more force. So, the point I made about peace in Ukraine is that for the most part, and we know all about this in this nation, that there was relative peace. And
I think you might be slightly covering your microphone, Catherine, and I want to hear what you have to say. That's okay. Go ahead.
Sorry, I'll take out my AirPods because I thought that they would be helpful, but you can go.
All right, yours actually connecting back to those and disconnecting, so we'll come back to you in a moment. Stay right where you are. Thank you. Another caller says, the people realise that in advocating for more effort from EU NATO that we could end up in a full-blown world war? Do they realise the consequences of that? Are they prepared for their families to be sent to war? And another, if the West think that Putin will just sit back and take all the financial war now being waged on Russia without them hitting back hard on the Western financial system, they're living in cloud cuckoo land. We will all wake up some morning and all our banking system will be down. Okay, that's just some of it. We've loads more to come from Catherine Noon, former senator, current lawyer, independent deputy Cathal Berry. I've loads to ask him, as well as Seamus McDade, who's the managing director of Football Special and always has interesting points of views on these matters. It is the 9 till noon show. These are the members of our Friday panel, and we'll be back with more from them after this quick break.
With passengers boarding for the holiday of a lifetime, please go woo!
Highland Radio wants to send you on the holiday of a lifetime.
Worth €10,000.
Plus $5,000 spending money. Woo!
Get your ticket now at highlandradio.com. Answer the question and start packing. Start packing.
Draw takes place April 14th on the 9 till noon show.
Get your ticket early and enter a bonus draw for an extra week's holiday in Turkey.
Two for the price of one.
Start planning your ultimate getaway. Only on Highland Radio.
Dimmer mé pelan seo nervhí mé óg, an chéad brúna eile á cótal in Michigan. Said atá gais le bheith a gcóirde ná smaoinmh go tapa, bheith gníomhach, agus solta bhaintas an sclóndar nach fistit céir atá mac roit. Ach tá oibriú a bheireann daoine óga a chráirú, agus cairir le daoine chamad sa bholta i gceist freisin. Beidh go leor scileann agat a dtéad a cairir leat a bheith iad a gcóirde. Beidir nach gáil dit céir díad go fáil, ach tá sí domhan. Déan iartas le bailíocht a ghlacha mar Ilini Gordy, faoin 16 mórta ag publicjobs.ie. An Garda Síochána is tusa an difriocht.
Department cracked down on inactive farmers. In this week's Irish Farmers Journal, we outline the active farmer criteria and new stocking rate changes in the next CAP, along with an SEAI proposal to cut the suckler herd to grow grass for anaerobic digestion plants. And as the war in Ukraine escalates, our specialist team examined the impact on food prices and food security, the price and availability of fertiliser. Plus, find out what steps farmers can take to reduce risk. Only inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal, in shops now.
Dear Daniel, ever since you burst out of Donegal and onto the music scene, I've been your biggest fan. And when you came to visit, I could have died. And when you offered to fix my boiler, I could have died, Daniel, because you're not a registered gas installer. I'm returning all your albums and my rhinestone-studded I Love Daniel jacket. Goodbye forever, from Mary. P.S. Daniel, you can find your local registered gas installer at rgii.ie.
Mike Denver in concert with guests Ray Lynham and Brendan Shine at the Inishowen Gateway Hotel Buncrana on Sunday, March 13th. Tickets at hotel reception and ticketmaster.ie. That's Mike Denver with guests Brendan Shine and Ray Lynham at the Inishowen Gateway Hotel Buncrana, Sunday, March 13th.
Call now on 074 91 25,000.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show here in Highland Radio. The lines remain open for you to get involved in the conversation. 086 60 25,000 or call 07491 25,000. Seamus mentioned a little earlier on in passing Deputy Cahill, aren't we? But I mean, if you listen to the language that is being used in the Dáil, we're not politically neutral, are we?
Yeah, so basically, their claims that we're militarily neutral, and that's, to be fair, is correct, because neutrality means different things to different people. The vast majority of people understand that neutrality means that we're militarily non-aligned. So we don't have any mutual defence pact with any other nation. That seems to be the consensus view at the moment. Now, neutrality means, it doesn't mean you can't defend yourself. So there is an element here of self-defense. So I was over in Paris last week at a defense conference. The parliamentarians were there. There was a number of TDs and senators sent across from the Oireachtas. The Swedes and Finns, for instance, were providing weapons to the Ukrainians, and they had absolutely no difficulty, because they said that this is a self-defense measure. If we don't stop Putin's tanks here in Ukraine, they're soon going to come to Finland and Sweden. So they see it as absolutely appropriate that they should be providing defensive weapons to the Ukrainians. And I actually think the same in Ireland, that we do have stockpiles of anti-armour rockets and anti-armour missiles in the Curragh, and they should be given to the Ukrainians.
Do you not think that is a step too far, though?
No, certainly not. Again, if it wasn't for the missiles and if it wasn't for the rockets that were already provided to the Ukrainians, all of Ukraine would currently be owned by Russia. And we can say with certainty.
I think following Macron's meeting or phone call with Putin yesterday, that was accepted effectively. He says the worst is to come, and on the same breath, NATO will not be going into Ukraine. So, as awful as it may seem, a population of 44 million. The die is cast. I think really NATO are prepared to defend the border, the NATO border with Ukraine, rather than any realistic bar off from wiping the place out effectively.
Yeah. I would actually disagree, Greg, respectfully. I think the Ukrainians have shown that they're really tenacious and really, determined fighters. All they need is 41 million of them. So it's a population, a third the size of Russia. All they have to do is to be provided with the means to defend themselves. So a lot of people are saying we should enforce no-fly. I think we should provide the Ukrainians with surface-to-air missiles so they can enforce their own no-fly zone. I think that's a good
Seamus McFadden there, I did quote you. What's your views on us, going beyond the murals and the protest stockpiles of the modern good tech? Would you be in favour of us sending them out there?
I would, Greg. I think that we've used the moniker of neutrality as just a way for us to not invest in the defence for any way, shape or form. While I don't think that there's Russia is a direct target of ours right now. We have an awful nation to help the Ukrainians, and like Deputy Berry said, they're putting up an unbelievable fight right now. The resistance is very strong. It's much stronger than I think even the Russians expected. And they're in for a long slog. And is there the appetite of the Russian people? They still see Ukrainians as being, some people see them as Russian. Certainly, people who see them as Ukrainian see them as ethnically very similar. A long bloody insurrection there. I think if we have military capabilities that we can give to Ukrainians, absolutely.
Catherine, I think you were not in agreement with Deputy Berry's comments. Do you believe that's what we should be doing?
I agree with both of them. Cathal touched on neutrality, and I think there are a lot of versions of neutrality. It could be stepped up a little to some of our European neighbours, and I'm repeating what the others have said, because I just wholeheartedly agree that we should, and if we have weapons that are of use to, I suppose a wider argument is the need for defence policy in Europe generally, and going down that road, not a network that's going to protect the European Union in situations like this. I mean, the Ukrainian president was talking yesterday that, Finland could be next, or Poland, or, who's to know where Putin may draw the line? It's a wider argument that you don't wish to get into.
We probably end up getting into it. Okay, we'll be back with more from our guests after we take this break.
You find your imagination captivated on this swirling, vivid street art tour of Belfast City. Never seen anything like it, and yet you can't help but feel a familiar welcome about the place. Whole city is like a living, breathing art gallery. With each curious step, you discover something new. You think, shame there's not enough time to see more. Sure, if we want, we can always just pop up again next week. Enjoy great value short breaks at discovernorthernireland.com. Northern Ireland, a small step to a giant adventure.
When planning and visiting, please check visitor guidelines and opening times with individual providers. Always follow current COVID-19 travel restrictions. Available at nidirect.gov.uk.
For great fuel deals, contact Gortley Sales and Hire. Large sacks and trailer loads of logs. Also briquettes, coal, kindling and gas with free delivery locally. Contact Gortley Sales and Hire in Letterkenny on 9126276.
Brian McCormick, Sports and Leisure, Main Street, Letterkenny. Try the new Brooks Adrenaline GTS 22 with the latest update on cushioning and stability. Brooks Ghost 14, offering a soft landing to ensure comfort. Ghost 14 Gore-Tex will also keep you dry. Every move you make is a step in the right direction with a pair of Brooks trainers. In-store or online. Click and collect on bmcsports.ie.
Lingering sunsets in Spain, captivating coastlines in Croatia, dinner overlooking Lake Como. It's time to stop dreaming and start doing. Let us guide you to your dream destination. Just show up, suitcase in hand, and we'll take care of everything. Flights, accommodation, excursions, expert local guides, and all that planning. Secure your spot now on a guided group tour with deposits from €100. See traveldepartment.com. Irish owned and operated for over 25 years. Travel Department. Let's see more.
Do you suffer from heartburn or abdominal pain? Do you experience frequent constipation or diarrhea? If you need or are waiting for an endoscopy consultation, then why not come see us at Kingsbridge Private Hospital Sligo, where we provide excellence in private healthcare. We are approved by all private health insurers, and our specialised consultants are ready to see you. Avoid long journeys and longer waiting lists. Visit kingsbridgeprivatehospital.ie for more information. Because life matters.
Text 086 60 25,000.
Look at it as a bit startling, that there could be a large percentage of Russians who think exactly the same way, I don't know if you'd have any insight into that.
And that's somebody who's living in the West. You'd be very concerned. My understanding would be the majority of Russians living in Ireland would be anti-Putin. They're here for a reason because they wanted to get away. But that's concerning.
For sure,
that conversation.
But I just,
thanks to him that.
I took him as a reflection of a large percentage of the population in Russia who have been Putinites and brainwashed over the years, which is what the Russian, I suppose, modus operandi is.
We are back live now. Catherine, 1 second, please. We're live here now as, unfortunately, I can't hear back from the station because it's been muted into my ear, but we'll sort that out, hopefully, at some point. Right, okay, you are very welcome back to the 9 till noon show here in Highland Radio. 086 60 25,000, the text and WhatsApp number, call 074 91 25,000. So, is it a case now where we're talking about neutrality? I mean, can we be neutral anymore? Is there an argument to say that, maybe someone like Russia might see Ireland as a non-NATO member as such, and a way of approaching Europe from the West? I mean, if Ukraine can be attacked, could Russia be attacked? What do you think as a legislator, I suppose, a current legislator, Cathal?
Yes, so you can absolutely be neutral should you wish, but we've never been neutral in Ireland. So we have a defence arrangement with the UK in that they control our airspace and they police our airspace, and that by definition means that you're not a neutral country, and there's obligations on neutral states, like you should be able to patrol your own waters, you should be able to control your own borders, and you should be able to police your own skies, and we can do none of those things properly. So we're very, very dependent on our former colonial master, if you like, and that means that we're not a neutral country. Now, we can pretend to be, we can claim to be, but from a definition point of view, we certainly aren't. But if you look at the actual neutral countries in Europe, Sweden, Austria, Finland, and they're very well armed because they recognize that their neutrality is precious and they need to protect it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. What about you? So sorry, do you believe now we need to have a conversation about not being neutral, joining European armies? Is that where you're saying we're at?
Yeah, if I could just get 60 seconds more and just say, look, there's 3 security arrangements for every European country. So you can be an actual neutral country like Finland, Sweden, and Austria and protect your neutrality, or you can completely have no military at all like Iceland and join a regional security arrangement like NATO. Or the third option is the most common option, where people maintain their own minimum credible deterrent at a national level, but they also join I suppose a regional security arrangement like NATO. Now, Ireland is unique. Of all the countries in Europe, not just the countries in the European Union, but all the countries in Europe, we fall into none of those 3 categories. We haven't maintained our own independent sovereign defence capability. And furthermore, we haven't joined any regional security arrangements. So we're uniquely vulnerable.
Are we not losing an opportunity here that we could have been neutral? We could be those that are brokering peace, but we're not. We're siding with America. We're siding with mainland Europe, of course, for the most part. We're siding with the UK and losing that what could have been a unique position for us.
Yeah, and that is a very valid argument when you're dealing with, good-natured people who wish to come to bring a conflict to a conclusion. But we've all heard the Russian ambassador on RT News in that wonderful interview where he really showed his true colours, not only of himself, but of also the regime he represents. Diplomacy works when 2 sides want to find a diplomatic solution, but Putin does not want a diplomatic solution. He wants to win on the battlefield and he wants to take all. And it's very difficult, almost impossible, to be the broker in those circumstances.
Well, you never know until you try. But anyway, Seamus McDade, Managing Director of Football Special. I mean, do you want to see young Irish men and women in combat on the fields of the likes of Ukraine, that we lose our whatever neutrality that there is there, that we lose that we become a member of NATO?
No, not necessarily. I think there's a big difference between not being neutral and being a member of NATO. And I would not support us even joining a European army, but I would like us to be able to have the military capabilities that we can make our own decisions independently of anybody else. You know, a neutral nation, I mean, Deputy Barry talked about it there. Iceland was independent during the Second World War until the British invaded it and decided that it would be a better play. Let's us invade it instead of Hitler invading. Now, there was no resistance put up by the Icelandics, but they did not want to be invaded by the British, and the Americans kept a military base there until very recent times, all the way through there. So I think we have, by nature of our geography, we have sort of given away our defence. We've just, the British basically look after Irish defence because we're so close that if anybody else was to invade us, they would just invade us anyway.
Yeah, we shouldn't forget either. We also allow American planes to land in Shannon. I believe there was a corridor during World War II that went straight across South Donegal Finner Camp. So you know we've dabbled anyway, I suppose. I don't mean that.
Yeah, correct. So we've always been neutral on the side of the West, and on the side of NATO. And again, we've just used it we've just used this term as an excuse to not have to feel like we have to do anything militarily. We're on the UN Security Council, and I would imagine that a neutral country should have to then not vote on these motions that have come in against Russia, and we very much voted that Russia were in the wrong. How can you be neutral and take a stance in an international conflict? I don't think we should be neutral. I think we should stop codding ourselves.
I mean, are we clear of the consequences of that, though? I mean,
but yeah, because I'm not suggesting, Greg, that we need to now then join the European Army or join NATO. I would be absolutely fundamentally opposed to either of them things. But I just think we need to all stop saying the term neutral and not knowing what that means.
Okay, you used the word neutral first today, Seamus, if we're playing neutral bingo. Okay. Catherine Noon, what say you? What do you think? I mean, would you go as far as, and listen, you can tell when the seeds are being planted. This conversation has started before now, but the language is chosen very, very carefully. And there was I think yesterday, particularly from Leo Varadkar, there was a change of language, that we're moving in a different direction now. And, you know, whoever's in power at the time, probably, I don't know if the referendum would be required. I don't know how that works. But anyway, how far do you think we should go in terms of giving up whatever is of our neutrality?
Well, I think, just to sidetrack a second, I think what Leo was saying yesterday, which I thought was interesting, was that, you know, if the EU was worth building, it's worth protecting.
Yes, of course.
Also, if Irish independence was worth fighting for, it's worth defending. And he also said that if
can I just say,
we can't expect other countries to just defend us,
of course,
because we're grand old fellas here, you know, and sure we're harmless, and sure you'll defend us if we're in bother.
But those comments, Catherine, do question those comments. Those comments read to me like, let's have the debate on Ireland's military neutrality.
Oh yeah, they do. And I think
that's really, really quite important, isn't it?
Yeah, and we do need to have that conversation. And I would agree with both of Cathal and Seamus Lashley there, where he said that he wouldn't go as far as a European army. And I wouldn't like, you know, when you say it in real terms, in terms of Irish troops, you know, in wars like this, that kind of, you know, brings you back a little bit in your thoughts. But, you know, we do need to step up. And we talked about neutrality and versions of neutrality around Europe. And I mean, you know, there are actually benefits to our neutrality that make us a very easy passport to travel under, that we are involved in organizations around the world as individuals. It's very helpful that we actually hold Irish passports, and you know, that's a whole, I suppose, byproduct of the neutrality that we have. But we definitely need, there's a maturation process that we need to go through as a country, in my opinion, on the neutrality and on the neutrality front. And that's something that this should be an instigator, at the very least, of a very serious European dialogue and discussion, and, you know, action points following that, I would have thought. You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because prior to this war, there was talk of us reviewing spending on military. And it was like almost people were disregard, making jokes effectively about, sure, what would we be defending and all. Now all of a sudden this has started, and the conversation it seems very, very different. But Seamus, this would have to be funded, you know, and I think you're talking a tripling of the defence bill to increase our defences. You know, that's money that we already don't seem to have to fix our hospitals or to fix housing. That's the reality. If we change this stance, it comes at an incredibly high cost.
Well, I mean, yes, or
no, it's
if we're
just yes.
Yes, in one way. Yes, if we go down the traditional route of what we all thinking that we're going to buy hardware and we're going to increase the size of our armed forces. But like Deputy Barry has talked about, Iceland have no standing army. But because they're in a NATO agreement defensive alliance, they don't need to have an army because it's accepted that NATO will come. They're a member of NATO, and then they have a very good Coast Guard that then look after the direct things that ordinary.
Okay, but let me go back to the language from Leo Varadkar. He said, effectively what he said is, we've got away for about 60 or 70 years, presuming no one would attack us, but we've seen in Ukraine that could happen. So it goes beyond what you're suggesting, his comments, does it not?
I think so.
Well, I mean, again, I think that there's like the people who are going to attack, I think we have to be realistic here as well and say that if anybody attacks us, our near neighbour to the right is going to not really care about Irish neutrality when they come. They won't be defending us, they'll be defending a defensive position.
Really? Do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I do.
But
I mean, the treaty ports were
kept
after Irish independence for a
reason. We can see it happening now. No one's going in to actually defend Ukraine. What, they'll supply us with guns and rockets?
I would suspect that's what would happen. However, we still need some sort of capabilities to defend ourselves. And I do think,
hard to believe that our plan would be that Britain would come to our
defense. It wouldn't be our plan, but it wasn't the Icelandics' plan during the Second World War either that the British would invade them. But that's what happened. Right. They were in a nation. It was a defensive position for the British to have. And let's not forget as well that we had an armed conflict on this island for 30 years. We had 50 years ago, we'd 13 unarmed civilians shot 12 miles from the Donegal border, and the Irish army were not used then. And what more defensive do we need to get before we would utilise our army? There's a difference between having a strong military and then having an actual defensive strategy. What I think we would like to have is a conversation around where we're aligned in the world and what that actually looks like. And we'd be mature enough to say, okay, well, here's the investment in defense forces we would need. Here's the investment in diplomacy that we would need, and here's the alliances that we would need to become part of.
I think what we decide to get up in arms about, not metaphorically, not literally though, really already shows where we're aligned. Because we are outraged with what we're kind of almost not told to be outraged with, but what the Anyway, come here, Catherine. Have you a comment on what Seamus was saying there? Do you think what do you think of his point of view there?
Yeah, I would think that there's a I suppose a difference with the northern situation. Like if the Ukraine, which I think it's pretty far-fetched to think that the Ukraine are going to or that the Russians are going to invade Ireland, but in that hypothetical situation, we at the moment we are in a state of being where we think that the US and the UK are going to come to our rescue, and that's been our strategy for that type of situation for decades. So I suppose I'm repeating myself now, but that is a naive position to have, I would have thought, militarily and defensively. And I think a lot of the points that Seamus makes are very valid, and I think the four of us are roughly in total agreement that we need to step up our game to some degree.
Well, I haven't said as a nation. Excuse me, sorry, I haven't said that, but it's not. That's not my point of view. It doesn't really matter.
Okay.
We're not neutral morally, but we are in military terms, says a caller. However you think about it, we send our Army Ranger Wing to missions that's not neutral. We do take sides, and Ukraine is an independent country. Look at Denmark, similar size to Ireland. However, they are in NATO, and we are hoping for American or Royal Air Forces to protect us if we ever did come under attack from Russia. Okay, I wish Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael would be honest on their position on Irish neutrality, in inverted commas. Both parties, while in government, allowed US planes to use Shannon for onward bombing missions. Who are they fooling? Well, I think it was more rendition flights. I'm not sure if Shannon was used for refueling for bombing, but anyway, a moment to correction, it could have been back in the previous wars. There were no sanctions against the West for them, I don't think. Look at Finland, far smaller waters, far larger navy. Another, absolutely no to joining NATO or EU army. Irish individuals can choose to join a foreign army, but as a nation, we should stick with our neutrality. And another one, Deputy Berry says, we haven't maintained our own independent defence. We have attained our own independence. After 800 years, the British are still occupying part of our country. People seem to forget that. Just briefly on this before we take a break, if there were a referendum on, I don't even know how it would be phrased, because you can tell from this conversation it would be such a complex question, Castleberry, but do you think, I'll ask you first, if this went to a referendum about Ireland's neutrality, about, you know, spending, tripling our budget on defence, let's say, I don't know if that even, you could do that without having the neutrality question, but you understand, I have to look at it in blunt terms for the purpose of the question. Do you think the Irish public would be in favour of, you know, looking at our neutrality, looking at our spend on defence?
Yeah, I think it would. So the Commission on Defence Force reported there about 2 months ago, and they recommended that there was 3 levels of ambition. Level of ambition 1 is where we currently are at. Level of ambition 2 needs about 500 million additional per year, and level of ambition 3 involves getting up to 3 billion. So we'll just talk about the level of ambition 2, that step up, that requires an extra 500 million a year. The vast majority of that money will not be going towards hardware. It'd be going towards paying salaries of the people, because even 10 years ago, there was 10,500 people in the Defence Forces, and now there's only 8,500.
That's because they're not getting paid, and we have to tie our ships up at the docks and pretend they're in for servicing, when really what the reality is that they can't actually staff them to send them out to sea.
Yeah, precisely, Greg. So when I hear these talk of extra billions, the vast majority of that would be going to pay our people properly and hire more people so that we can crew our ships and we can crew our aircraft. In relation to your specific question in relation to the referendum, I presume the referendum, if one is called, it would be about whether we wish to join and become a more active member of the common security and defence policy in the European Union. My own personal view is I think most people want Ireland to maintain its own independent military posture, and we can opt in and opt out in a case by case basis. But just one thing I would say, and it's very important to get across, that even though we're an independent, non-aligned country, that does not preclude us from acting militarily in self-defense. And it also does not. It also doesn't preclude us from going to war. What's required to go to war is an Oireachtas motion declaring a war on another country. So just because we're independent, non-aligned, neutral, whatever you want to call it, does not preclude us from having to go to action, and we should have independent means to protect ourselves.
Okay, a texter says, what would Russians get in Ireland? Don't be so naive. What were they doing off the coast of Ireland? Fishing, get real. They were checking out our coast, forgetting it. Britain, we'd be swallowed up in a second. The Russians may be mad, but they're not stupid. But not all Russians. I don't think we should paint them all. Just a question. How does this end? Because there are a couple of scenarios. Okay, there's a short, sharp shock, and Putin leaves at that. There's a long, drawn-out situation. Even maybe he could be overthrown from within his own country, and I think that may be one of the motivations for all these sanctions and what have you. We've seen actually rather bravely the second biggest oil company in Russia calling for an end to this. Seamus, in the last couple of minutes that we have, I'll start with you and work back through. How does this end?
I presume exactly that. Either the Western sanctions can work quicker than the Ukrainians can capitulate, and somebody inside Putin's inner circle decides he needs to go on a holiday to Siberia, and then a new leader comes in and the war is over. Or the Ukraine, that does not happen because he seems to have got rid of any sort of discerning voices inside his inner circle, and then they're basically the invasion is complete of Ukraine. Ukrainian falls, and it just becomes a part of the Russian Federation. And that's the game we're at right now. I would imagine. That would be where I see it ending.
Yeah, and I can see his troops being on the Polish border rather than the Ukrainian border, and NATO on the other side, because little things happen like war games, NATO war games off the northern coast of Europe, which I haven't read much about at all. We were all up to Heidel when Russia were doing it off the west coast. How does this end? I hope I don't sound pro-Russian. I'm just trying to tease out all elements of this conversation. Catherine, how does this end in your view then?
Well, I think a lot of the commentators that we're hearing on the radio who are extremely close to military issues and war issues, I don't think anyone is finding it very easy to predict where this is all going to end. And I don't think, that I'm going to be in a position to tell you, but the ideal situation is what Seamus described is the internal solution in Russia, but that does seem to be somewhat far-fetched at present. So,
and also, Catherine, what would worry me about that scenario is, I don't know if he's unhinged, but how far would Putin go, as in the last sting of a dying wasp, if he thought he was about to be?
Well, he has certainly escalated matters since the West have increased sanctions, and initially I thought Putin has lost it. This is, even by his standards, this is just so crazy. But actually, I don't think he's lost it. I just think that he has a very definite ambition, and that he is completely oblivious to maybe not completely, but almost completely oblivious to the loss of human life and the destruction of Ukraine. And he has his own ambition in mind, and he's a war general for however many years. And, we'd all like to think that, empathy or something will intervene, but I don't think it will. And I think these talks that are going on are simply a facade. And I don't have an answer to the question.
Well, we see what happened in Yemen, in Syria. These corridors are opened and they're used as opportunities to resupply with the offenders, and those in these humanitarian corridors still end up getting killed. How does it end finally with you, Deputy Cahillberry?
The best way for it to end is to defeat Putin's army in Ukraine. And the best way for us to do that is to facilitate the Ukrainians by providing them with, we don't have them, but surface-to-air missiles, so they can enforce their own no-fly zone, and anti-armor missiles, which we do have, anti-armor rockets, to knock out as much armor as possible. And then one of three things will happen. The Russian army will have to withdraw. Secondly, there could be a palace, purge, basically, or he's in a circle could turn on them, and the third option then is a popular uprising. And they're the three options, and I hope one of those three things happen.
Cahillberry, listen, thank you for your time today. We really appreciate it. Okay, take care of yourself. It's been nice having you on the show. Independent deputy there, Cahillberry. Also, Catherine Noone, lawyer, former senator as well. Great to have you back on the show.
Thank you.
Always interesting. I really appreciate it.
You.
Take care of yourself. Okay, and last but certainly not least, it is Seamus McDade, Managing Director of Football Special. Thanks very much, Seamus. Okay, you tuned to the 9 till noon show here at Highland Radio. The lines remain open for you. 086 60 25,000. Your WhatsApps and texts that number, or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. Back with more after the break.
Text 086 60 25,000.
Big plans won't mean big repayments with a home improvement loan from Inishowen Credit Union. Whether you're converting the attic, changing the kitchen, or doing work to the garden, talk to us today. With rates starting from 6.18 APR, no hidden fees or charges, and fast loan decisions, we have the perfect loan for you. Apply online at inishowencu.ie or call us on 93-61017. Membership of Inishowen Credit Union is open to anyone who lives or works in the Inishowen Peninsula. All loans are subject to approval. Terms and conditions apply. Inishowen Credit Union is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
I'm conducting a study of human untidiness, one bedroom at a time.
Sheila, housekeeper. I figure out that, yes, you do have room for dessert. Ryan, waiter.
I love to see you when you've been out late.
Nigel, night porter. They've all been explaining their jobs in their own words on behalf of Northern Ireland's tourism and hospitality industries. Discover hundreds of amazing opportunities in tourism and hospitality right now when you search careerscope.uk.net/NI. Explain them any way you want.
Is your current car ready for change? If so, now is a good time to visit DMG Motors Donegal Town. Choose from their Skoda range including the Fabia, Scala, Superb, Karoq, Kodiaq, Kamiq, Octavia and the all-new electric Enyaq. Now available for delivery. All fitted with the latest technology, Skoda Connect, with a whole new range of simply clever features. DMG Motors have made buying a new car affordable with finance available on all new vehicles. Test drive the new Skoda Skoda today. Call 97213996. Skoda, made for Donegal.
Electric Ireland customers don't need to do a thing to get Ireland's lowest standard unit rate. That's nothing. Zip? Zero. Because they're already on it. Electric Ireland. We're brighter together. Estimated annual bill €1,274 based on 24-hour residential electricity credit meter standard unit rates, including PSO levy and VAT. Published provider rates at 1st of January 2022, subject to change. For comparison, see electricireland.ie/lowest unit rate. T's and C's apply. See electricireland.ie.
Okay, coming up after the news and obituary notices, Seamus Gunn will be joining us to answer your legal questions. So get them into us right now, 07491 25000 or text 08660 25000. I am delighted to have in front of me the new schedule for Highland Radio as we welcome back nighttime programming. We're going to be talking about that and to some of your favourite presenters a little later in the show. Michael and Fanula will join us. There's so much happening. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back after the news and obituary notices.
Letterkenny Show Society Export Show and Sale of 55 pedigree bulls will take place this Tuesday evening, the 8th of March, at Reform Art, judging at 3 p.m. with a sale at 6:30 p.m. There will be €200 for the buyers of the 2 top price Charlie and Limousine bulls. Online bidding available via martbids.ie. All online customers and Northern Ireland customers must contact the Mart office on 074 9145 250 prior to the sale. That's this Tuesday evening at Reform Art.
Local Enterprise Week is back to help your business get the wind in its sails. Running from Saturday the 5th to Friday the 11th of March, Local Enterprise Week is organised by Local Enterprise Office Donegal. Chart a clear path for your business by getting advice on marketing, leadership and recruitment. Also on networking, exporting, finance and much more. Booking is essential. To see the lineup of events and speakers and to book, visit localenterprise.ie/Donegal or call 9160735. Supported by Enterprise Ireland, Donegal County Council and the Government of Ireland.
Ireland is leaving diesel behind and Kelly's Toyota is leading the way with our incredible range of self-charging hybrid electric cars. We've amazing offers including contributions and trade-in boosters. And with 46 years of experience here in Donegal, you can trust us to help you on your electric journey. You'll never take a wrong turn with Toyota, Ireland's best-selling car brand. Visit Kelly's Toyota Mount Charles or Letterkenny today. Toyota, built for a better world. Terms and conditions apply.
The good times are back. The highly acclaimed Joe Dolan Show Remembering Joe is back in Letterkenny for one night only. And what a party it will be. St. Patrick's Night, Thursday, March 17th, eve of the bank holiday at the Clanry Hotel. The spectacular show starring brother Ben Dolan, nephews Adrian and Ray, niece Sandra, Karen Carroll, plus the original Joe Dolan Band will have you rocking and rolling in the aisles at the Clanry. Celebrate our national holiday in style. Tickets now available at the Clanry Hotel, 07491243369. Remember, there's no show like a Joe show. Always a sellout. Book now.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, I'm Michaela Clark with the news at 10 o'clock. Ireland's plans to provide refuge to Ukrainian refugees are gathering momentum as up to 20,000 could be arriving in Ireland as they flee the war in their country. The Taoiseach said relevant departments and agencies will work together to prepare for the possibility of significant numbers being offered protection in Ireland. Micheál Martin added that arrangement will be put in place to deal with the many offers of help which have already been pledged by the Irish people. The Fine Gael spokesperson on European Affairs, Neil Richmond, said the government will face new challenges in order to deal with the tens of thousands of refugees arriving here.
Well, there's existing procedures in terms of large-scale resettlement of refugees, as we've seen with the up to 1,000 refugees that have been resettled here from Afghanistan in the last year. But beyond that, there are new areas that the government will have to look at. But a lot of those won't kick into place for a number of months now, when we see that up to 1 million people have moved across Ukraine now. Not all of them have come into the European Union, but they are coming.
Serious concern has been raised over a lack of charging points for electric vehicles across Inishowen. It's thought that there are only a handful of such charging points currently in place across the entire peninsula. It's led to fears that the lack of infrastructure could deter tourists from choosing to visit the area. Councillor Johnny McGuinness says Inishowen has a lot to offer and it's incumbent on Donegal County Council to improve the situation ahead of the tourism season.
There's only 3 or 4 EV charging points within the peninsula itself. We're targeting a European tourist and there's 5.5 million EV cars. We can't expect a European to come here and stay here and get up into the northwest and stay overnight and spend their money here and stimulate the local economy if they actually can't drive their vehicle around from A to B. It's a no-brainer and it needs to be addressed immediately.
The government has no plans to include island ferries and air services under an upcoming reduction in public transport fares. A 20% reduction in fare prices on transport services is set to come into effect by early May as part of a new scheme to help with the rising cost of living. Last night, the Dáil heard calls by Fianna Fáil Deputy Eamon O'Queeve for both island ferries and air services to be included in this scheme. Responding Minister Josepha Madigan says the move would leave private operators at a disadvantage.
The introduction of a fare reduction scheme for subsidised services would put private operators at a disadvantage. They will be entitled to seek legal redress if a subsidised service were to get a competitive advantage, such as subsidised fares on a designated route. And furthermore, many subsidised operators provide extra sailings beyond what is subsidised, and those extra sailings would not be entitled to the reduction.
But Deputy O'Queeve says that wouldn't be the case.
Whoever wrote the reply forgot that I actually put the schemes that are in place. Don't touch the tourist fares. Don't touch somebody like myself going to the island who paid the commercial rate, which is much higher than the island rate. Reduce the specific island rate, which is only in the PSO island contracts.
The Cathaoirleach of the Letterkenny Milford Municipal District has visited Islington as part of an event to recognise the contribution of the Irish community to the borough. Councillor Jimmy Kavanagh travelled with Councillor Ciarán Brogan on the back of an invite from Ireland's ambassador to the UK as part of Irish Month, which is being hosted by Letterkenny native and Mayor of Islington, Troy Gallagher. Councillor Kavanagh says the coming weeks will be an opportunity for links between London and Donegal to be strengthened.
This is part of a wider thing that Troy is doing in his mayoral year. There's an Irish Month now in Islington, which will do a lot to promote the Irish in London, but also Donegal County Council will be attending that weekend, and there'll be a breakfast there between businesses in Islington and businesses in Donegal, and they'll be showcasing the opportunities for remote working in Donegal and so on, and an opportunity to mix with other businesses from over there and strengthen connections between London and Donegal.
Weather now, sunny spells this morning. Isolated showers, however, will develop this afternoon with highest temperatures of 7 to 9 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with an update again at 11 o'clock. Until then, good morning. The Obituary Notice says for this Friday morning, March the 4th. The death has taken place in Edinburgh of Niamh McDade, formerly of Bayswater, Derry and Rathmullen, County Donegal. Niamh's remains are reposing in her family home, 40 Bayswater, Derry. Funeral from there tomorrow for 12 o'clock Requiem Mass in St Joseph's Church, Rathmullen. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The service will be available to stream online at mcnmedia.tv. House private please tomorrow morning. Family flowers only please if wished. Donations in lieu of flowers to the Maggie's Centre, Edinburgh. The death has taken place of Johnny Roche, Mina Niller, Derry Beg. His remains are reposing at his residence. Rosary tonight at 8 o'clock. Funeral Mass will take place tomorrow at 12 o'clock in St Mary's Church, Derry Beg, followed by burial in Maharagallen Cemetery. House will be private from after Rosary and before the funeral tomorrow. Funeral Mass can be viewed live on the Gillespie Funeral Director's Facebook page and on the Chap Pobblewara webcam. The death has taken place of James Coyle, Jimmy Crawley Gidor. His remains are reposing at his late residence. Removal this evening at 6:30 going to Mina Wheel Chapel, Crawley for 7 o'clock to repose overnight. Funeral Mass in Mina Wheel Chapel tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock with burial afterwards in Maharagallen Cemetery. Wake private to family, close friends and neighbours only. The Funeral Mass can be viewed live on Ciarán Rorty Funeral Director Facebook page. The death has taken place of John Eugene Quinn, Sonny, 55 Marion Park, Buncrana. His remains are reposing at his residence. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 9:15, going to St Mary's Oratory for 10 o'clock Requiem Mass with burial afterwards in Cockhill Cemetery. Funeral can be viewed online at churchservices.tv. And the death has taken place of Noreen Mcfadden, Noreen Joe, Kernsport, Gidor. Her remains are reposing at her late residence with Rosary nightly at 9 o'clock. House private to family, relatives, friends and neighbours. House private this morning. Funeral from there this morning for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass in St Colmcille's Church, Knockfola, with burial afterwards in the adjacent cemetery. Funeral Mass can be viewed live on Gallagher Funeral Director's Facebook page. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Intel is looking for manufacturing technicians and process engineers who want to do something wonderful. So, if you've got a qualification at any NFQ level from 6 to 10 in an engineering or science discipline, or have some experience working as a technician or engineer, this is your chance. Your chance to be part of a team that's creating technology to change the world for the better. From right here in Leixlip, Kildare. Learn more and apply now at intel.ie/apply. Intel. Do something wonderful.
Text 086 60 25,000.
And you are very welcome back to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. 086 60 25,000. That is the WhatsApp. That's the text number. Or give us a call on 07491 25,000. Thanks again to our Friday panel of Cathal Barry, I beg your pardon, Catherine Noon, Seamus McDade. If the Russians or other country were set to invade Ireland, the US or the UK wouldn't help us, says this listener. They'd get there first and invade us. They've plans in place since the Cold War and even World War II. Another disband the so-called Irish Army, more pomp within the officers than any British Army. A joke. That's what they are using the money to help get 999 responses quicker to an accident scene. That poor lady in a recent accident lay for a full hour on the road until an ambulance arrived. And another, we spend more on TDs and civil servants than defence. What a way to run any country. And that's it. That's your comments up to date for now. We have more coming in. We'll get back to them now. It is almost time for the radio bingo numbers, but I'm delighted to welcome onto the programme now Grace Mcfadden. Hiya, Grace.
How you doing? How you doing, Greg?
I'm doing fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You know, but I'll let our listeners know that you collected a prize of €9,200, and that's the jackpot prize. The daily prize of €1,800, grand total prize money €11,000. Congratulations!
Oh, thank you very much. God, that's fantastic. I didn't realise.
So there's no other winners of yesterday's daily prize.
Yeah.
That's it. Sisters
Well,
Grace
that's
McFadden and
brilliant
Mary
altogether.
Toland, living next to one another in Milford, bought the book in Maple in Milford.
Maple, yeah.
Happy
Maple.
days. Okay, brilliant stuff. Are you lucky normally?
Sorry?
Are you normally this lucky?
Not really. Small prizes I would win at the bingo all right now, but I wouldn't be that lucky, no.
All right, okay. Well,
But myself and my sister we divide when we want something like that. We divide it, so.
It's a team effort.
Yes, a team effort, Mary.
And is it a
Mary Toland.
50-50 split?
Yes, 50-50 split. Yeah.
Okay, good stuff. Now, as you know, the bingo is run here to support the National Council for the Blind of Ireland, because they are, this is one of their principal revenue streams. Of course, hopefully now with things being lifted, they can get back to their other fundraising initiatives and what have you. But they do very well out of this, as we've heard on the programme before. And that is something you'd have an understanding of. Would you be familiar with the NCBI, Grace?
Well, I would, because my father suffered from glaucoma and macular degeneration, and we would always have supported the blind all down the years,
Yeah.
So he just died there in 19.
Only recently. I know where you're at.
2018, and he was 100 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, so, he had a good enough life. He worked in the Milford Bakery for 50-odd years, and he developed glaucoma after he retired, which was 65, and unfortunately now the macular degeneration set in sort of after that, and I don't know, he was a great man for the Sacred Heart Mission, so we seemed to always send money. He always told me after he died to always not neglect Sacred Heart Missionaries, so we would always be sending money there, you know.
That was a big change for him, and as you say, the support from the NCBI, especially, you know, later on in life, very, very valuable. I think there's just a lovely element to this, that, you know, you sort of engage with them, support other charities, and now in supporting them, you're going to benefit from this as well. It's lovely.
Oh, definitely now, because he actually, his birthday, he would be 104 tomorrow.
Oh.
That's coming up to his birthday, so it's so just wonderful, like, you know,
there's something there, is there? I don't know. I think I'm changing as I get a little bit older, especially, I think, since my own father passed away. Wee signs here and there, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but sometimes you can't help but wonder, can you?
No. I would feel he's not too far away. Do you know what I mean?
Lovely. Yeah, okay. Congratulations. What are you going to spend the money on, besides me now, obviously?
Well, to be quite honest, I haven't a clue, but it's between myself and my sister, so we'll see. We'll think about it and maybe take a break somewhere or other.
Well, it sounds absolutely lovely. I hope you do. I hope you enjoy it.
This war settled.
I know. Well, listen, that like everything, hopefully that will be resolved. And as much as we can, life has to continue, doesn't it? But listen, it's a nice lift for you two, and I really it's great in supporting NCBI, having used their services and then to win big. It's fantastic. Congratulations to both of you, and pass on my best wishes to your sister too as well.
Okay, thank you very, very much.
All right, Grace, thank you very much indeed. What an interesting story. So many connections there. Okay, that was sisters Grace Mcfadden and Mary Tolan. They live next door to each other in Milford, and they bought their book in Maple in Milford. Have a great day, Grace.
Right, thank you very much now.
Take care of yourself. All right, take care.
Bye-bye.
Now, the prizes keep coming because there's a new jackpot in place, and there is that daily prize as well, which keeps growing every day. It's not one. It could be you next. It could be you today. At least for the daily prize, here's the numbers.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Friday the 4th of March. You're playing on the yellow sheet. The reference number is S5. It's game number 9. The numbers are 45, 20, 86, 48, 25, 57, 59, 58, 16, and finally 65. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
With passengers boarding for the holiday of a lifetime, please go woo!
Highland Radio wants to send you on the holiday of a lifetime.
Worth €10,000.
Plus $5,000 spending money. Woo!
Get your ticket now at highlandradio.com. Answer the question and start packing. Start packing.
Woo-hoo! Draw takes place April 14th on the 9 till Noon Show.
Get your ticket early and enter a bonus draw for an extra week's holiday in Turkey.
Who for the price of one?
Start planning your ultimate getaway. Only on Highland Radio.
We are currently buying all types of excavators, loading shovels and backhoes for export from 3 tonne to 70 tonne. Contact AB Plant Exports Group today and you will receive the very best price across Ireland, north and south. For more information, contact AB Plant Exports Group on 0873 779966.
If you've got magic moments or great memories captured on your smartphone, now is a great time to have them printed at mcgees.ie. Simply upload your favourite photos, choose your size and finish, and McGee's will take care of the rest, with the results delivered to your door. Prices are from just 12 cents, and there's also creative options available. Preserve your memories today at mcgees.ie.
Department crackdown on inactive farmers. In this week's Irish Farmers Journal, we outline the active farmer criteria and new stocking rate changes in the next CAP, along with an SEAI proposal to cut the suckler herd to grow grass for anaerobic digestion plants. And as the war in Ukraine escalates, our specialist team examined the impact on food prices and food security, the price and availability of fertiliser. Plus, find out what steps farmers can take to reduce risk. Only inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal, in shops now.
Mike Denver in concert with guests Ray Lynham and Brendan Shine at the Inishowen Gateway Hotel Buncrana on Sunday, March 13th. Tickets at hotel reception and ticketmaster.ie. That's Mike Denver with guests Brendan Shine and Ray Lynham at the Inishowen Gateway Hotel Buncrana, Sunday, March 13th.
The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes, Monday to Friday, with all that matters across the Northwest.
And you are very welcome back to the 9 till Noon Show here on Highland Radio. 086 60 25,000. That's the text. That's the WhatsApp number. Or give us a call on 07491 25,000. We're having to do things a little bit different today, broadcasting from home today, thanks to the assistance of Caroline and Donal. Due to 2.5 years, I managed to avoid COVID as much as I'm aware. And then everything opens up, and lo and behold, here we are. Seamus Gunn of McFadden Gunn & Company joins us on the programme now. Good morning to you, Seamus. How are you keeping? Are you going to unmute for me, are you? So I can hear your dulcet tones.
Yeah. Not a ventriloquist yet, that's better.
I was going to say, who's behind you?
Yeah. Good.
How are you keeping?
Good, yeah. We kept on the go. You know, it's funny times. Things are opening up again and getting moving, but we're living in very strange times in Europe, as you've highlighted on many occasions over the last few days, and it's peculiar, and we probably have to sort of see how it's going to pan out. Just a point that occurred to me, I'm not sure has it been really highlighted or even addressed, with all the attention, and rightly and understandably so, in Europe on the Ukraine, our attention is diverted from other parts of the world which are in atrocious states of civil war, such as Syria and Yemen, and even the Myanmar situation, Afghanistan. Like, if you think of it, we were focused on Afghanistan a few months back. The Taliban had taken power, the US had pulled out, and this is only August. Now the world's media is understandably directed on Ukraine, but if you run parallels and comparisons, and you see the mass exodus as well from the likes of Syria, and the civil war that's been raging there for 10 years, these places cannot be forgotten about either, because it's the same issue. It's war mongrels that are driving them, and they are driving people into exodus. And then that's this whole migration towards Europe. So I find it difficult to get a balance on this, because I'm certainly drawn to Ukraine, but I'm also very mindful of
Seamus, we can't get a balance on it, because we witnessed live the West going in, for instance, under false pretenses. We've seen what they did in Iraq. We watched that unfold like it was in the other end of the world. And we see other things going on. There was no talk of sanctions, no talk of seizing billionaires' yachts. And we do approach the situation, the mass exodus from Ukraine, and helping those people. We do treat them, and the language is very different to them. And a few journalists have slipped up and said that, they're just like us, and the mask slipped somewhat, So we're not even trying to get the balance there at all. Yeah. It's just these are predominantly white Europeans.
Well, you are touching on a very, very delicate nerve and subject. It's the double standard is really what I think that you're referencing.
100%, yeah. And what appears to be double standard.
But I don't believe that the media is given that the type of coverage that it merits. And that's where I think that when I'm saying about trying to get a balance, that we've moved away from that like if you put a pulse on the likes of Syria for a matter of a week or 10 days, I'm sure it mightn't be that terribly different from the likes of what's happening in Ukraine. similarly, if in Afghanistan, does anybody know now what the situation is out there with education, with the starvation, everyone being denied human rights? The attention is completely diverted. I say I can understand it, but at the same time, it comes to mind even there. What about Yemen as well? Is another part of the world that there's another terrible civil war going on, and we're not informed as to what's happening. No. So I just would like a more balanced media approach to the whole, the Ukraine, and not overlooking these other situations out there in the world.
See, the problem is this
double standard that we are listening to. We are listening to the Western version the whole time, and we're not really getting any idea. Last night was the first time that I seen. I think it was on prime time, where they did give some insight into how it was being portrayed, the propaganda in Russia. That was quite interesting to see. But if you were a Russian watching that, you'd be inclined probably to believe it.
But listen, what I did, Seamus, I try and consume as much as I could. I watched RT News, right? Okay. And they carried in full a press conference from, I think, the Russian Foreign Secretary. And what they talked of, right, was the fact that Russia had been trying to negotiate with the West for an awful long time. They said that, our borders are being threatened here. We're concerned with what's happening in Ukraine. There is a war raging in eastern Ukraine, which 16,000 lives were lost, that the West is using Ukraine, that, they are the puppet masters. Now, I'm not saying that is true, but that conversation is should we be having that conversation? Absolutely. But what we're actually doing is we're banning or ostracizing any journalist or outfit that might even start that conversation, because we have to all think the one way. Now, as I say, what I'm trying to do this morning is, I'm not taking a position here, by the way. I'm trying to maybe have a slightly more rounded conversation about the global situation.
Well, I think for a change, we're ad idem on this, which is unusual for us to be sort of in agreement. but on this particular point, I think that if you were to really analyze it and see where was the beginning of this, has anybody really asked that? Has anybody really looked into the NATO movement up through, trying to get near the Russian border, trying to get sites, which are obviously to protect their own backyard, but tightening the squeeze all the time on Russia, and then maybe inevitably getting a backlash such as this. That's the elephant in the room, I think, and I would like to see the more mature, journalists, media, etc., starting to address those aspects, and also looking to the other situations in the world, which we've just taken the torch off for the moment, and God knows what's going on there, because we're not hearing it.
And also, too, I would imagine that there are those that might be maybe to the north of Russia that would be looking on saying that Putin is very busy at the moment. Maybe there's a weakness there. And I also wonder if North Korea are looking on, wondering maybe it's their time to move. And that would just be two potential hotspots that's ongoing. I mean, there's a lot of people with different interests looking on at this, and things could start popping up in other parts of the world too. I fear, I hope I'm wrong, and I don't want to be scaremongering, but if you're in North Korea and your country's on its knees and you think there's a weakness there or a distraction, who's to say?
Yeah, and they're quite capable, and they have the power to take advantage of a situation, and they're probably watching it very, very closely. But this is really the debate that has to be opened up among the major players in the world, and those that are in power and those that have proper influence, and maybe get a more balanced view of how this is playing out, because I shudder to think that it's going to end up in the similar situation, similar to the likes of Syria, and be bogged down in civil war for many, many years to come. And that could happen.
I don't believe there's a right and a wrong on this one, Seamus, but I'm listening to different media, be it, RT through Lifeline or other radio programs, BBC Radio 5 Live, BBC World Service, BBC 4, and one after another, they have a resident in Ukraine with a similar point of view. And why wouldn't you if the hell was being rained down on you from above? But we're we're not getting a wider conversation. And I'm not talking about pro-Russia here. I'm on about, so we could all be more educated about what's going on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Maybe talk a bit more about how, say, for instance, well, I won't go into this. There's a lot in there. But anyway, I think, as you say, I think we agree. A quick word before we take a break and get to questions, because I wanted to ask you about the Donald Trump situation. I presume it's completely unrelated. The Congressional Committee investigating the attack on the US Capitol on the 6th of January last year has said former President Donald Trump may have engaged in criminal conduct, should I say, in his bid to overturn his election defeat. What's the significance of that?
Yeah, well, it's quite significant in that you probably recall, Greg, back in December, we actually we followed a story when the former Chief of Staff, Mark Meadows, at that time was refusing to appear before the Select Committee, who were investigating the circumstances of the riot back in January 21 on Capitol Hill, where the 5 people unfortunately lost their lives, and some first responders thereafter took their own lives indeed. And you remember at that stage, they were looking to get access to emails, texts, etc., all surrounding the incident of Capitol Hill itself. And they went to the federal court, the District Court of Columbia, and they actually succeeded in that. So at that stage, I was saying this is going to run, and Trump's going to try to circle the wagons, which he has done. Well, now the next installment of it is, and as a sequel to that, they've now come, the Select Committee, and they're making an allegation that there's evidence and information available to the committee establishing a belief, anyway, that Trump and others have engaged in some form of criminal acts or fraudulent acts, and maybe even criminal conspiracy. And they're pointing the finger, interestingly, at the guy who supposedly was in charge of the legal strategy at the time. He was a lawyer by the name of John Eastman. And that the claim being that there was a strategy to overturn the election completely. And now, with access to the emails and texts, etc., of that period, and privilege, it seems now they're not going to attract privilege. They will now come to the fore, and that could give the ammunition that is necessary for the Select Committee to actually make a criminal allegation of criminal conspiracy against Trump and his cohorts. And if that happens, that'll go to the Attorney General, and he'd have to consider whether he was going to charge the former president. So that'd be very, very interesting indeed. I think the net closes and is gradually closing ever so slowly, but it's coming in on Mr. Trump, and it'll be interesting to see where he goes next and how he tries to defend himself. He's now been focused on 2 sides, on the state of New York and also out in LA. So, as I said, there's a pincer movement going on.
And it was kind of interesting too at a press conference yesterday, a senior Russian official referencing him being robbed of his election win as well. As I say, unrelated, but this is all happening in the same space.
Yes, it is. Yeah, and there will be more to follow, because it might be unprecedented. But if they come with a consideration of a criminal charge against Donald Trump, well, we'll be breaking new ground.
Yeah, all right. Listen, Seamus Gunn, thank you very much. Stay with us. We're going to take a quick break and then back with your questions. You might be able to squeeze one in, 08660 25,000 if you're quick.
This Friday, Around the Northwest will be coming live from Logues of Cranford to celebrate the launch of Mulroy Drive and the 10 new viewing points and things to do around Mulroy Drive. Find out more from 12 p.m. this Friday. The outside broadcast is kindly sponsored by Eco Atlantic Adventures in Cranford.
Study at the College of Agriculture, Food and Rural Enterprise this September. Caffrey is Northern Ireland's specialist agri-food and land-based college with campuses at Greenmount, Antrim, Loughry, Cookstown and Enniskillen. Discover courses in agriculture, food, horticulture, equine, floristry, veterinary nursing, land-based engineering and business. Join our virtual open week each evening on Discover Caffrey Facebook from Monday 7th of March. For event information visit cafre.ac.uk.
It's exciting times at Hillside DMAX in Letterkenny because they've moved, but not too far. Their new kitchen design studio is now open at Curralees on the other side of the Mountaintop Roundabout. This new studio showcases the latest kitchen, wardrobe and slide robe designs with DMAX's renowned attention to detail and exceptional quality. Hillside D-Max, in the heart of your home since 1994. Now at Curralee's Mountaintop Letterkenny.
Win with low prices from SuperValue, with a great range in-store and online, like SuperValue smoked turkey rashers 6-pack only $2.49. Epic! SuperValue kids smoothies 4-pack only $2.29. Super! And SuperValue chocolate chip cookies only 99¢. Winning! Win with low prices that compete with anyone. Win with SuperValue.
See Andre Rieu with Highland Radio at the 3 Arena Dublin on the rescheduled date of Saturday, the 14th of May 2022. The package includes luxury transfers, accommodation on a bed and breakfast basis at the City North Hotel, and your ticket to the show, all for €275 per person sharing. A €60 single supplement applies. A €100 non-refundable deposit required to secure your place. Andre Rieu at the 3 Arena Dublin, May 2022. Call Highland Radio on 074 91 25,000 to secure your place. Go on, treat yourself.
Call now on 074 91 25,000.
Okay, right, to some of your questions here now. Hi, I was wondering if Seamus can answer this. We received a letter from someone claiming defamation if we did not apologise and withdraw a letter of complaint made by us. This was nearly 2 years ago, and we want this to go further to clear our name. This was sent to threaten court and stress, but this person seems to have no intention to go any further, and they believe this should not be allowed. Now, can you pick up what's actually happening?
Well, I mean, what's happening is that obviously there's been a claim of defamation. Everyone is entitled to their good name under the Constitution, and long may that continue. And there's two headings maybe we could put defamation under. We would say the spoken word is slander, the written word is libel. So in that context, obviously the caller has received some correspondence. I'm assuming it's of a legal nature. It hasn't moved on in 2 years. It could be threatening proceedings for seeking damages and claiming defamation. If it hasn't gone any further, it's starting to run out of time. And in that instance, the caller may not hear of it again. But the point that they're making is this, and this is quite interesting. They're saying that they want their good name claimed in that they've done nothing wrong. If to do that, they will have to engage their own attorneys to respond to it and to put their side of the case to it. And there, the matter, while it may not be very satisfactory, but there the matter would rest. The only other way would be for them to try to claim that, in fact, by writing this letter, that they've been defamed. But that letter, which if sent by a solicitor or counsel, will attract privilege on the basis that they're acting on their client's instructions. So I think that if it has gone away, my view would be to leave it at that, not get involved in defamation. Is an extremely expensive remedy, and if it goes down the court route, there can be very, very significant costs involved in it.
On that issue, there was some talk, or there's some movement through the Dáil that would see juries taken out of defamation cases. I hope not conflating. I think it's the same issue. And judges would make awards. It'd be cheaper, maybe reduce payouts.
It would reduce the time. Yeah, it would reduce the time significantly. It seems to be coming down the tracks. I'd say it is practical. Sometimes juries can lose the run of themselves in relation to the defamation actions. The amount of time involved is certainly expands considerably when there is a jury involved, between selection and everything that goes with that. Certainly, I do believe with time, costs follow. So I think it would be more streamlined, and I think that if you had certain judges who may even specialize in that particular field, or that would hear that type of action, it might be worthwhile. But there's something about being judged by your peers and having 12 people listening to your case, especially if your good name's at stake. I'm not sure I'd just like to see the end of that, but certainly an awful lot of the cases could be dealt with by a judge only.
This is an interesting question, and one I've thought myself. I think it is, at least recently anyway, it's a requirement to leave a space at the front of your land. If you build a new house, there's a step back that we seem to be obliged to have. But this caller wants to know, there's a homeowner who's putting up bollards obstructing these spaces. Who's liable in case of a third party if they hit one of these obstructions and causes damage? Now, you do see this as well, where people have decided to grass it, and they might put stones in there, or they paint stones white. Sometimes they don't. I mean, but it seems to be public highway. What's the story there? What if someone pulls in, smashes the car?
Well, it depends on whose charge in that situation the bollards would be, and in that instance there should be adequate insurance in place in relation to any third party issues that would or could arise, and that wouldn't be unusual for them to have cover. It might be a situation where the local authority are involved. It might be a situation where there's a private landowner involved. That would have to be all checked out in relation to it. But then remember this, that if it's a situation where somebody has an unfortunate accident and they actually, or maybe there's an element of contributory negligence on their part, it doesn't automatically follow that they would have a claim in the first instance. So you'd have to look at the entire circumstances, check out the position and check out the insurance position and take it from there.
I'm waiting to go to court for nearly 2 years for the sale of a damaged car from a respected garage with all the safety, roadworthiness and NCT. Why are these cases not a priority, and why are garages allowed to sell such cars? Thank you, from a concerned listener.
Well, I mean, in a case like that, it's up to the individual to pursue their claim through the courts, and there's a duty on the courts to dispense justice expeditiously, and that has been there from time immemorial. We've had a very, and it's worth emphasising this, we've had a very difficult time of late with COVID, and it has resulted in an awful lot of civil actions being delayed, and understandably so, with the results that lists have expanded, and there's at times there can be a shortage of judges and sittings for the hearing of civil actions, and that has a knock-on effect on the case itself and does give rise to delay. All that we can hope for is now that we've come out of that, and we are moving into different times, that the backlogs will be dealt with. In relation to the point itself, the cause of action would lie against the retailer of the motor in the first instance. If it was under warranty, there could be a third party issue. You might have to bring in the manufacturer. But hopefully, in relation to the point they're making about the delay, that these can now be addressed, and that we can have some more civil sittings to deal with the backlog, which is inevitably there, and it's there in the district court as well, I have to say.
Yeah, can a deceased executor of an estate be liable for expenses from their own estate if he or she did not carry out their role after 12 years of the said estate?
Well, it's interesting if they said that it's 12 years and haven't done anything to advance it. So I'm intrigued by that, that if an estate has been going on that length of time, if it hasn't moved at all, well then if there are other beneficiaries and it's a situation where there is a will, those parties could have moved themselves and brought in a citation to have the will admitted to probate, which they should have done. Like, I would have a view that after 12 years, if they haven't moved or administered the estate, it beggars belief that nobody else has, and that would be the route I'd be looking at there, and that's in that case.
All right, last one then. My parents had a will made with a solicitor who has since passed away, and the practice has closed. How can I find out where the will is now? Does this feed into the conversation we had before about a database of this stuff?
Yeah, well, we have touched on this, Greg, and well, I mean, I'm beating an old drum here, and I will be probably for the rest of my time. But anyway, there should be, and with the Law Reform Commission and all the good causes that they do take up, a central wills register in this country would be invaluable, in my opinion, and it would eliminate this type of anxiety and stress that's caused by people trying to find out if their loved one has made arrangements or not. To deal with the caller's question, if the practice is no longer in being, I would suggest that they would contact the Incorporated Law Society of Ireland to get an idea as to whether it has been taken over by another firm or what has happened, the documentation that was retained by that practicing law firm up to the time they ceased. And they should be able to give them certainly a slant on that. They could also retain their own solicitors to make inquiries locally. and maybe even further afield as to whether a will has been held. That's all very well, but it comes back to my point, maybe that I might have mentioned once or twice before, that if one has moved from Dublin, Cork, whatever, Limerick, and maybe have lived somewhere else for some time, put a will in place, and they're now living in Donegal for the last 20 years, and you just look locally for a will, and there is one actually further afield, but nobody knows of that. That can give rise to, obviously, a very difficult situation where there could be a will directing what's to be done with the estate, but it isn't actually followed in that way, and the estate might proceed to be dealt with under letters of administration, which would be an intestacy. And that, again, would be an awful travesty. So a central wills register would certainly is, I think, the way forward. And I think that the caller should maybe contact the people in Dublin to see what has happened to the practice where the will was held in the first instance.
All right, Seamus, listen, thank you very much for your time and your insight this morning. It's always appreciated. Of course, people know you have your offices, but if you want to access your services online, what's the story there?
Yeah. We're always glad to hear from everyone online at donegalsolicitors.ie, Greg, or gun.ie. Should be there 24/7.
Rightio. Listen, Seamus, thank you so much. As I say, always good to have you on the show. 086 60 25,000 is the WhatsApp text line. 086 60 25,000. Give us a call on 07491 25,000. Maybe you, I'm sure you are a regular listener to Highland Radio, and you will have missed your favourite voices and programmes of an evening with everything that went on. Programming in the evening was pulled to some extent. Now it's back. There's a new, there is a new schedule out, and we're going to be talking about that. And we're going to be talking, hopefully, I've got my fingers crossed, to some of those who will be making the return to their airwaves. And also, that will all be part of our entertainment slot, because Michael and Fanula will be joining us as well. All right, but for now, it's the 9 till noon show. We're going to take a quick break. Stay right where you are. More to come.
Your Longcom free gift is waiting for you at McElhinney's. Simply buy 2 Longcom products and receive the ultimate beauty routine. Your gift includes a full-size rose sugar scrub, a 7-piece travel set including many of your Longcom favourites. Plus, choose from our Absolute or Hydrozen skincare collection to complete your gift. Exclusively in-store and online at mcilhenneys.com until March 13th.
Local Enterprise Week is back to help your business get the wind in its sails. Running from Saturday the 5th to Friday the 11th of March, Local Enterprise Week is organised by Local Enterprise Office Donegal. Chart a clear path for your business by getting advice on marketing, leadership and recruitment. Also on networking, exporting, finance and much more. Booking is essential. To see the lineup of events and speakers and to book, visit localenterprise.ie/Donegal or call 9160735. Supported by Enterprise Ireland, Donegal County Council and the Government of Ireland.
As you start rediscovering Northern Ireland again, we want you to explore with confidence. That's why we've introduced the We're Good to Go industry standard for tourism and hospitality businesses. So you know they've agreed to follow COVID-19 safety guidelines, like social distancing, following the recommended cleaning processes and undergoing spot checks, so you can enjoy your break to the full. Look out for the safety symbol for businesses that are good to go. Northern Ireland, we're good to go. Brought to you by Tourism Northern Ireland in partnership with UK national tourism bodies.
Derg Valley Care Castle Derg is offering free programmes this month. Menopause awareness on Thursday the 10th from 2 to 5 p.m. Mindfulness on Wednesday evenings and painting to improve your well-being on Monday evenings. To book, call Derg Valley Care Castle Derg.
There's amazing deals every week at Watson Hire in Letterkenny. Great specials in tools, hardware and homeware. If you're a tradesperson or you're doing a one-off job, you'll find everything from power tools to hand tools and paint to work clothing. There's also loads of great present ideas with the Christmas Club now open. For great weekly deals and a great selection, visit Watson Hire at Kiltoy, Letterkenny. For more information, visit the Facebook page or see watsonhire.ie.
Central Auto Parts are now stocking Sunny, a water-based paint offering all up-to-date colours for all vehicles, and Celimix Commercial, the perfect paint for diggers, plant and machinery. Buy it today at Central Auto Parts, Portslink Business Park, Letterkenny. Find us on Facebook or call us on 074 9127 491.
Text 086 60 25,000.
Or indeed, you can call us on 074 91 25,000. Right, delighted to welcome onto the programme our next 2 guests. Jenny Timony of Fit Pink, a hugely popular company, and Carl Friel as well. I'll say good morning to you both, but I'll speak to you first, Carl. Good morning to you. Thanks for joining us. You might just unmute yourself, Carl, for me, if you don't mind. I appreciate that. Can you hear me okay now, Carl? There you are.
Yeah, got you now. Morning, Craig.
Right. Okay, Carl, how are you keeping?
Yeah, not too bad, Greg. Actually, it's been, to say the least, a tough couple of years, and especially over the last 7 months since we lost Breda. But we're getting there. They did say it to me at the time. Time's a healer, and you know what? It is getting a little bit easier and a little bit easier. But don't get me wrong. There's some very bad days too, obviously.
Yeah, of course. And in the memory of Breda, you're running an event as much as you want to or you're comfortable with. Can you tell us about Breda and what happened to her?
Yes, we actually met Greg Breda a couple of years ago. She was on your show a couple of years ago in 2019. And at that time, she was helping Cancer Care West just raise awareness for what they do in their services, and a fundraiser that Michael Chance was running at the time, along with the patron of Cancer Care West, Noel Cunningham, at the time. So Breda, unfortunately, Breda passed away 7 months ago, just yesterday, after 5 years of breast cancer, and unfortunately, she lost her battle last August.
And I'm really sorry to hear that, as everyone listening to you, Carl, would be. So tell us about the Walk and Talk for B.
So yeah, it's actually something that when Breda got diagnosed, unfortunately, it moved to a major organ in her liver in September 2020. Obviously, it was such a difficult time for us, and we knew at that time that things weren't looking good for the future. So at that stage, obviously, we had lots of sleepless nights and worries, obviously, of what was ahead for ourselves and for 3 kids and our family and friends. But at that stage, we both loved walking and enjoying what we have around us and going for walks, especially on the beaches with the kids and friends and families. And it was within that time, actually, we figured out, both of us, actually, we started to sleep a little bit better, and we got a night's sleep after a couple of weeks of walking and talking about different things. And we realized something actually was happening, which was we were talking things out during our walks. We were getting our concerns and our stresses of life and what was happening to us, and it gave us the ability to sleep. Craig, simple as that. And
I think we'd probably almost go out of a lot of us would go out of our way to avoid those conversations, wouldn't we?
Absolutely, Greg.
You found having those conversations very, very useful for both of you, I'd imagine. Maybe even
absolutely
more so for
brilliant, phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And you know what, Greg? And this is something I discovered and this is well over the last couple of years, is that the types of conversation you have when you're out for a walk, you don't have them sitting around the kitchen table. You don't have them at home. There's too many distractions. You don't have them in the bar or a pub or anywhere else because there's too many distractions. But when you're out for a walk, whatever happens is you have that freedom to be able to talk about things on a deeper level than you can ever do before, if you know what I mean. And more importantly, as I say to you, it's the stresses of everyday life that everybody have and the worries that everybody have. You just seem to unconsciously work those out on your walk, and gives you then at nighttime that ability to sleep. And as we all know, if you've got the ability to sleep, everything functions better. No matter what it is in life, you can work out everything, in better humor, your work, whatever the case may be, everything just seems to work better. And this is what I'm trying to, and Breda wanted me to encourage people to try and do for themselves, help themselves to begin with. And then if they're in a good place in their life, then they can help others, and that's exactly what we're trying to do.
And did you discuss this with Breda, this event? You did.
Yes, it
was.
How
tough was that for you? I mean, or did you get past the point that we can actually talk about the inevitability?
Yeah, well, actually, this idea was a charity fundraiser. It wasn't in remembrance to begin with. This was over a year ago that myself and Breda discussed this on a walk. It was a charity fundraiser at the time for all the great charities that have been so good to us and to so many others. And it was a way of us raising funds for them, but also raising awareness for the amazing work that they do. The likes of Cancer Care West, the likes of the Marie Keating Foundation, the hospice now too. But this was a brainchild of Breda herself that wanted to do this. We wanted to do this last year, but obviously things unfortunately took a turn for the worse, and we had to park it. But this year in January, over Christmas time, I decided we had to go and do this. We want to do this. Breda asked me to continue on the message that she had, which was giving people, that opportunity for self-help, to improve what they have, improve their life and try and figure out on their own way how we can actually get themselves in a better place.
Fair play. There is no doubt you're doing her proud. We're going to tell people more about how they can get involved in that event, but I want to bring Jenny in. Jenny Timoney. Good morning, Jenny. Thanks for joining us too.
Good morning, Greg. Hi, Carol.
Hi, Jenny.
Tell us what your role is, Jenny. What you'll be doing in support of Carol.
I suppose to give you the background really was that Brita worked for me in a cafe many years ago when she was only a teenager, around 95 or 96, in one of my first businesses. And when I saw Carol's Walk and Talk for B on Instagram, I recognized her photo straight away. She looked exactly the same as she did. She was a very sweet, kind, lovely teenager, a quiet kind of a girl, and she looked exactly the same. And it just resonated with me, I suppose, and I just wanted to do something to support the event. So I reached out to Carol on Instagram, and we took it from there. So what we're doing is a 2-day pop-up shop at our headquarters in Donegal Town, and we are donating 20% of the proceeds over the 2 days to Carol and Brita's chosen charities.
Yeah, but those who aren't aware, and there's not many listening that won't be, tell us about your products, Jenny, because I think to support. Particularly to support, but for any, there's plenty of reasons to go down and shop, but even to support this initiative. So tell us what you have offered, what kind of stuff you sell and that type of thing.
So Fit Pink is a female athleisure brand. So we're born and bred, I suppose, in Donegal Town, and you're right. We've had massive support from the women of Donegal. So I'd say most people listening would be well aware of Fit Pink. And yeah, it's just a range of high quality women's activewear for, anything from evening walks to the hardened runner and cardio, or yoga or anything like that. So that's, we started in 2019 and we've kind of built it from there.
Yeah, really quickly. Yeah. And tell us now when this shop is open and the full range is available.
Sure, it is. Yes, indeed. It's sort of a small shop at our premises, which is in Donegal Town, Drumroosk Business Park. It was formerly Irene's Fun World in Bumblebee, so it used to be a big children's play centre. So anybody really coming into the town might know it. The postcode there is F94VY68 if anybody pops it into their sat nav. So we're open all day today and from 11 to 4 tomorrow. And yes, everything you see on our website is available to try on and also purchase today and tomorrow.
Brilliant stuff. Great. And tell us more about the actual walk and talk for B, Carol.
Yeah, so in January we set it up and we started an Instagram page, Walk and Talk for B, so it can be easily searched and found there. And within weeks, we have well over 1,000 followers already. And also we've got a Strava account set up and a Strava club set up where we see hundreds of people who've actually taken part. And the whole idea is, don't get me wrong here, it's not a case of people doing the full walk. So the walk itself, the idea is a walk from our home place here in Newton Cunningham to Brita's home place in Inver, which is right on the Atlantic Ocean, right at the beach. Literally our home house, her mum and dad, George and Bridget, are there right on the Atlantic Ocean on the beachfront. And the idea is to walk to the beach, basically, where their home house is. So it's roughly around 80 kilometres. Now, it's not a case of people doing the full 80 kilometres. People can come in and out whenever they want and do as little as they want or as much as they want. But the idea, again, is it's more the journey from January or right up to now, right up to January the 11th or June the 11th, sorry, when the walk is. And again, it's one of those things that you're not going to get the benefits over 1 or 2 walks. It's a case of you need to give it a couple of weeks. They say it's 21 days to do it before you actually find the benefits that you'll receive from it. And trust me, the amount of people have given me messages since January that have coming back to say, Carl, what you said to us on day one is absolutely true. We're sleeping better, our humor's better, our mood's better, our interaction with everybody is better. Our work life is better. It's tried and tested. And as I say, hundreds of people are coming back with some really positive news. So
are you doing the 80 kilometers?
Yes. Okay, my intention is to do the 80 kilometers, and so has quite a few other people. Now, I've been doing this for a number of years already, the last 2.5 or 3 years, doing a lot of walking. So I've got it somewhat in the legs, but I'm training towards it. Look, if I don't do it, I'm not going to get upset about it. Nobody's going to get upset about it, but I intend to try and do it in remembrance of and celebration of Brita and her life. But it's not just about Breda and her life and remembrance of that. It's for everybody has their own personal stories to tell and worries to think about. And that's the idea, is that self-help. And that's what Breda was really concerned for everybody.
Yeah, and
to
I
do,
think, Jenny,
is
that's
try and
why,
get that.
you mentioned why you wanted to get involved initially was, Breda touched your life and people touch people's lives in all different ways, but also it resonates and kind of ties in with, with your company as well. I mean, it was a very easy decision for you to make and for you to get involved, I would say.
What I didn't realize at the time when I reached out to Carol, he responded straight away to tell me that Breda was a great customer of Fit Pink, and she loved the brand and she'd gotten all her friends onto it. So, that's it was all the more reason to be involved, and we're delighted to be involved. And can
go ahead. Sorry, Jenny.
Sorry, Greg. Can I say too that we know Donegal town maybe is out of the way for a lot of Breda's friends and family. So if they wanted to purchase online, they can do that. If they use the code Walk and Talk with B on our website, that will alert us to their supporting the event, and we'll donate 20% of those proceeds to online to the.
Fantastic, Jenny.
Great.
Because we have loads of people from all over the world that are following us. We even have in Central Park in New York, a group already set up, and they're going to do the walk of 80 kilometers in Central Park on the 11th of June.
Fantastic. So just to be clear, if anyone wants to expand their Fit Pink collection or get their first items, do so. Is it today and tomorrow, Jenny? And either in person, is it, or online? Right. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
And that goes towards this brilliant cause that helps amazing charities. Jenny, listen, thank you very much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Great to talk to you both.
Okay, good to have you with us. And
thanks, Jenny.
Well done with everything that you're doing, Carol. And we really appreciate your time this morning. Just tell us the Instagram page if people want to go to. Is that where you primarily post?
Yeah, that's where all the information is about the charities that we're going to help, and also about just information about the walk itself, and just some encouragement for people. And I post some videos there every week of self-help videos that can help everybody out there.
And so it's called
Walk _ and Talk for B. So it's underscore between each word. Walk and Talk for B, the letter B for Breda.
Brilliant. Okay. Listen, and we'll share that out in our socials as well, if that helps. Listen, thank you very much. And
Greg, thanks very much for your time.
Have a great day. All right, it is the 9 till noon show. The entertainment item slot, whatever you want to call it, is on the way, but we are a little bit late to the news, I think, but we're going to take a quick break in advance. Rejoin us.
Are you involved in a project in your town or community? Would you like to share in a €100,000 prize fund? The .ie Digital Town Awards shine a light on the achievements of local towns for digital projects in health, education, tourism and community. To enter the .ie Digital Town Awards, visit weare.ie. Terms and conditions apply.
Visit Derry and experience a world of difference just over the border. See the historic walls, the waterfront and the famous chill-off licences at Da Vinci, White House, Coolmore, Hatmore and Shantallow, which for some reason have suddenly become the #1 attraction. So visit Derry and leave with more than just memories. Please drink responsibly. See drinkaware.ie.
Don't sleep in and miss the very latest beds and mattress offers from dfibeds.ie, Ireland's leading online bed and mattress retailer. You'll get a comfy Irish-made mattress, upholstered base and headboard from an amazing €229. Check out the full range at dfibeds.ie. Delivery free and guaranteed to you within 7 working days. DFI Beds. Sleep well, live well.
Dairy Gold. It's there for you first thing in the morning and waiting for you when you come home at night. To fill early starts with goodness and to bring a bit of warmth to your hands after a long journey home. To start your day on the right side of the bread and to finish it with a satisfying crunch. For early mornings, late nights and everything in between, the deliciously creamy taste of Dairy Gold spreads the goodness in more ways than one. Dairy Gold. Spread the goodness.
Store & Go Springtown Dairy, the north of Ireland's only temperature-controlled smart access individually sized storage units.
Store & Go offers storage for personal storage, house moves and renovations, business storage for excess stock or filing systems. Once signed up, you can access 24 hours a day through an app on your phone, gaining access through 4 levels of security to your most precious possessions.
Call Store & Go Springtown Dairy on 02871 278 900 to discuss your needs and get bespoke advice, or get a free quote at storeandgo.net.
Timber
From the smallest shrub to the largest tree in an awkward place, Donnelly Tree Services provide a complete range of tree surgery services. Whether you need to remove a dangerous tree or some nuisance branches, Donnelly Tree Services have the experience and expertise to carry out tree surgery to the highest of professional standards. Call 083 005 9939. Donnelly Tree Services, Donegal. No job is too small, no tree is too tall.
Good morning, I'm Michaela Clark with the headlines at 11 o'clock. Ukraine's president says an attack on a nuclear power plant in the country could have been like 6 Chernobyls. The Russian shelling of Zaporizhzhia facility led to a fire breaking out. A UN agency says no radioactive material was released and the fire is now being put out. Meanwhile, Ireland's plans to provide refuge to Ukrainian refugees are gathering momentum as up to 20,000 could be arriving in Ireland as they flee the war in their country. The Taoiseach said relevant departments and agencies will work together to prepare for the possibility of significant numbers being offered protection in Ireland. Idiris na Gaeltachta is to assess future requirements of the food sector in Gaeltacht regions. A review of the food sector in the Gaeltacht is to be undertaken with a view towards preparing a development plan based on the future requirements of the sector. Idiris na Gaeltachta is also considering the potential of developing food hubs in Gaeltacht regions. Serious concern has been raised over a lack of charging points for electric vehicles across Inishowen. It's thought there are only a handful of such charging points currently in place across the entire peninsula. It said to fears that the lack of infrastructure could deter tourists from choosing to visit the area. The government has no plans to include island ferries and air services under an upcoming reduction in public transport fares. A 20% reduction in fare prices and transport services is set to come into effect by early May as part of a new scheme to help with the rising cost of living. And the Cearloch of the Letterkenny Milford Municipal District has visited Islington as part of an event to recognise the contribution of the Irish community to the borough. Councillor Jimmy Kavanagh travelled with Councillor Kieran Brogan on the back of an invite from Ireland's ambassador to the UK as part of Irish Month, which is being hosted by Letterkenny native and Mayor of Islington, Troy Gallagher. Councillor Kavanagh says the coming weeks will be an opportunity for links between London and Donegal to be strengthened. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back with an update again at 12 noon.
We all deserve a better work-life balance.
But not all of us have the space to work from home.
Connected Hubs brings together flexible workspaces across Ireland on one simple website.
So you can quickly and easily find a hub in your local area.
It's everything you want from an office without the lengthy commute.
Meaning you don't have to trade quality of life for quality of workspace.
Give yourself space. Visit connectedhubs.ie or download the app to discover a hub near you.
Connected Hubs is part of Our Rural Future, a Government of Ireland initiative.
Okay, that sound can mean only one thing. It's time for the community entertainment slot, and we welcome onto the program Fionnuala Rabbit. Hi, Fionnuala.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, I can hear you. I didn't know if I was going to be able to hear you. And also,
Very touching,
let's
though.
see if Dolan remembered to switch the line on the mic. Hi, Michael.
Hello, Greg.
Oh, he's good.
Oh.
He is good. He is good.
That's actually better than you. You often forget to put him up on the Friday.
No, that's awkward. Don't be
At
silly.
least, Fionnuala, I actually put the mic in front of my face, which you're not. You should know better.
I know, it's too... when I look at myself sideways in the mirror...
Face the numbers towards your face, so I can hear you.
Ah, it's gone twisty. It's gone
Yes,
twisty
exactly.
on me.
Now I've got you. Come here,
Oh,
great.
there you
Sorry
go.
I can't be with you after 2.5 years. I managed to pop out a positive antigen test. Well, there you go. Come here, very exciting times. Before we talk about TV, because we are going to, but we're also talking about the enhanced schedule now, Fionnuala. It's a long time coming. It's exciting. We're going to be chatting to some of those familiar voices that some people have heard, some haven't heard for a while, but it's good to be in this space, isn't it?
Oh my God, I keep saying it to everybody. I'm not 100% convinced we're going to pull it off until eventually everybody has been in here at least once. We've set this date so many times over the last 2 years. I mean, everybody assumed in March 2020 this was going to be 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 maybe. Then you kind of went September, then you went Christmas, then you went, and it just kept moving and moving. And I was kind of beginning to lose heart myself. So I really appreciate the listeners sticking with us on it. But finally, we are ready and delighted to be bringing everybody back. As in from tonight, the nighttime guys are all coming on. So we're really looking forward now.
So what's the first show on tonight?
The first show on tonight, because we've actually changed up the schedule a little bit, so it's a little bit different. So the first show on tonight is Marty Friel. So
Marty Friel is going to join us. We're going to do it like this. We're just going to bring them in as we mention the names. Okay, so tell us about tonight then. So what's new for Fridays then?
Yeah, well, no, to be honest, it's you made it. See, now you've made it sound like as if I shaked up everything. There's only so much.
You just you bluff it. Just say it.
I know, but we have Marty has moved now to Friday nights, which I think is going to be fantastic. And then after Marty, so Marty's going to be 8 to 10 tonight, and then from 10 to 1, then we have Tommy Rosney back on with his inimitable style of country music and everything. Then over the weekend, then we had been finishing at 6, but now we're going to be continuing on. So from 6 to 8 is Frank Galligan. On 8 to 10, then we have Keith Fletcher, just moved his show out a little bit later. And then from 10 to 1, we have kind of like a big Saturday Sessions party show on at that time. Then on...
You're so cool. You make it... Describe it again?
It's a big party set. It's kind of a mixture of everything that was there. You know, they used to be called the big party. It used to be called the Saturday Sessions. So now I'm kind of like, I don't know what the name is going to be, but it's going to be like Sessionsy Party.
What time's it on? And
just go with that.
The times.
That's
what you do.
Marty
Friel joins us. Hiya, Martin. You're going to have to unmute yourself. I feel I'll be doing a lot of this hour. You just have to hit unmute, Marty, and then we'll have... There you go. There you go.
Hi, Greg. Sorry about that.
No problem, Marty. It's great to hear your voice. It's great to see you, and it's going to be great to have you back on there as well. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming, Greg. I suppose with the restrictions and one thing and another, we're all sick listening to COVID now, but yeah, it's been 2 years since we've been off air, so we're ready and charged to get back. And I want to thank Vanilla and the team there at Highland for working with us and giving us some training to get back on the social media, and of course Zoom and everything has all taken off greatly since COVID came to unfortunately join us.
Yeah, and tell us about the show. I mean, people know your program. You know, I mean, they know your style. They know the music you play. They know the energy you bring. It's just a case of getting you back doing it now, and that's the excitement.
Yeah, that's it. Well, the music's always been 70s, 80s, 90s, good radios, music. We're going to bring to the station on a Friday. And I think it's an excellent time to be on the radio. It's going into the weekend. It's Friday. Usually my slot was on Mondays, which was good as well. It was the start of the week, so it was a wee bit lame coming out of the weekend. But Fridays will be very good. Looking forward to it. And after coming live after Ivan's show from his various good dancey tunes and live upbeat stuff to bring it back to the 80s, 90s and just good general radio stuff. You know the good music yourself, Greg. So we're looking forward to bringing that to the airwaves of Highland again.
I'm glad I don't have to pick good music from the last year, because you know it's you've got a wealth of music to choose from. But my word, if you look at the charts, there's songs in the top 10 now that have been out for like 18 months between the various cycles of popularity on TikTok. I'm old manning this now. I am sounding like an old man. I think my boys would tell me something different, but there's just not a depth of quality there at the moment. So I look forward to. I suppose people like Ivan can dig out the underground tunes and do fantastic in that. I'm on about the more, poppy stuff for my age. But anyway, it is what it is. Listen, it's brilliant to see you, Marty. I can't wait to hear you back on the airwaves again after a long break. And you've been very busy yourself, of course, over the last couple of years. So this will be a good way for you. Is it a
distraction?
That's what I was going to say. It's relaxing, isn't it? Okay. Listen, thanks so much. Take care of yourself.
No problem. Thank you.
All right, take care. That is Marty Friel there. And Fionnuala, are you still there with me?
Yeah, I am. Very excited to listen to Marty now as our first show back. It's very good.
All right. I think Rosemary Harity's with us too. Rosemary, are you there?
Yeah, Rosemary's show is now going to be on Sundays so that's just the next one in. So we've 7 to 9 is going to be Jean Kern, 9 to 11 is going to be Rosemary, and then Tommy Rosny again, 11 to 1. So
Hi Rosemary, how are you keeping?
How are you doing, Greg? I'm good, thank you.
It's great to see you.
Thank you very
Tell
much.
us, and it's great for our listeners to hear today about you returning with your show on a regular basis. Tell us about what you're looking forward to, about the program, what people can expect. People know anyway, but just for those who will be tuning in for the first time.
Yeah, Greg, the show, of course, is done through Irish language, and it'll be all about music and song in Irish from different artists from around the country, from Northern Ireland, from the Highlands and Islands of Scotland. And there'll be a lot of entertainment and fun and conversation with songwriters and singers and that kind of thing. I also intend to bring in the schools, the national schools from all the various Gaeltachts around the country, and maybe get the children to do a poem or a story, and it's really to encourage the children to speak Irish and to get them sort of confident in speaking Irish around some of the Gaeltachts and the smaller Gaeltachts anyway are they're forgotten Irish. There's not a lot of Irish in them, so it's great to get them all on board.
Yeah, but it's informative and it's entertaining. But it's
absolutely
serving a really important role as well. So we wish you all the best with it, and can't wait to have you back on. Can't wait to listen to you again.
Are you still talking to me, Gran? Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, we have Mairead Ní Winnie on Sunday night.
Oh, brilliant!
Just to
that's some way to kick it off, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Yeah, and it's just to celebrate the new show. There's a new name on it, Blasting the Ale. And looking forward to that. She'll be talking about lockdown, how it affected her, and how things are now.
Super stuff.
That we're all getting back to normal.
Well done. Thank you so much. Can't wait. Take care of yourself. Rosemary Harity there. Right. A caller says, I'm so glad the evening schedules are back. I really enjoy all the different shows. Another texter says, you need to go to Sarah. She needs to leave for an OB. Oh, I presume that's a private message from Caroline. My bad.
I know.
I knew that, by the way. I knew that. Hiya, Sarah. Good morning.
Hi, Greg. How are you?
I am fantastic. You managed to achieve in a short period of time what I couldn't in 5 years, and that's a prize to promote our social media. Good morning to you.
Thank you very much. I was grafting hard, but no. Yes, we have our big giveaway on our Instagram page at Highland Radio Donegal.
And this is a cracker, Sarah, isn't it? This is a 50-inch smart TV, and it really is a brilliant size. I mean, it would be a luxury for a bedroom, but you could stick that into your front room and it would be fantastic as well. So how do people be in with the chance of winning, Sarah?
So to be in with the chance of winning the smart TV, all you have to do is follow us on Instagram, like the post, tag a friend underneath the post, and simply share to your story. So that is all you have to do.
All right, brilliant stuff. It couldn't be any easier. And I joke, and I'm a bit cheeky, Fionnuala, but this is all part of, isn't it, of providing more content and more entertainment for people on different platforms. And I know Sarah and others are working hard in that regard. And it's fantastic to see it unfold.
No, it's fantastic. Yeah, look, like other companies have really had to take a look at our digital output and see what we were doing and how we can improve it and how we can move with the times and upgrade and make sure that we're reaching all of the people of Donegal in as many ways as possible. And so we're using this time now that we're bringing all the guys back, that everybody's coming back to work with us again, is to promote the fact that we've redone all of our social media channels. We have all new branding. The website has been redone and rebranded. If anybody has been on that lately, you'll see kind of it's all bright colours. I clearly had an input into it. I love purple. And it's been all done and rebranded. And what we're doing is really, we're just encouraging people that not only now can you listen to us on the radio, but you can also see us. You can interact with us through our social media channels. To be honest, that's why Sarah's here, because I don't even understand what half of them are. We're on one or two ones that...
Well, that's it, Sarah, too, because, you know, there are the traditional platforms there, the newer platforms, although it's not brand new, but the likes of TikTok, and people can engage with us there as well and have a bit of crack and maybe see a different side to some of the presenters, Sarah.
Oh, yes, definitely. I've been having a lot of fun. It's not even getting people out of their comfort zone, because honestly, they are so comfortable and they're so good at the entertainment end of everything. But our TikTok page is just at Highland Radio, so it's very, very easy to find, and all our videos are going across our other channels as well, so it's just very exciting and everyone seems to be having a lot of fun with it.
All right, listen, tell us where the OB is actually, by the way, if people stay tuned. There's an OB coming up. John Breslin's around the northwest again, isn't it?
Yes, it is in Cranford. We're heading there
Lovely.
now shortly. That's why you had to get me on so quick.
I know, but now I'm going to have to pay the price for being cheeky with Caroline, but sure, look at. Come here, Sarah, thank you so much for that, and keep up the good work. Just remind people one more time, hop on to the Instagram, and how can they win this TV? It's a beautiful TV, it's 50 inches, so how can they win it again, Sarah?
So hop onto our Instagram page at Highland Radio Donegal, and all you have to do is follow our page, like the post, share it onto your story, and also tag a friend. Don't forget to tag your friend.
And the winner will be announced when?
It will be announced on the 9 till noon show with Greg Hughes on with yourself on Friday the 11th.
All right, good stuff. That's actually not far away.
Yeah.
So brilliant stuff. All right, listen, Sarah, thank you very much indeed. Take care of yourself.
Thanks very much.
It's been great having you on. Okay,
Thank
we've
you.
got loads more to talk about. We're going to try and squeeze in a bit of TV, and we're going to run through this. It's hard not to focus on the schedule for Nuala, because it's so great to have people back, and it's so great to see and hear those voices. You know, we would from time to time, but you know, from our listeners' perspective as well.
Oh no, it is. It's fantastic. I mean, just knowing that we're going to have a bit more live music and things like that as well in the night time, like on Mondays, the Monday night session is going to be back with Paul. Jimmy is moved now to the Thursday from 8 to 10. So it's great to have the new music and that kind of thing, that we'll be able to look at artists both locally and nationally. The one good thing that has happened with because of the last 2 years of COVID is that anybody who's listening to your show has now seen it on our social media channels or watched it and through the website, and that will know we've really managed to upgrade things so much now to make it a visual as well as being an audio presence, and that's going to really be seen on all of the nighttime shows as well, that you know, for different things that are happening, we will have the availability to actually view it as well as listen to it. So I think that's going to really make a big difference into the level of content that we're putting out there to the people and the service that we're able to give the people of the Northwest.
All right, the boys are back in town. Jimmy Stafford, Paul McDevitt, good morning to you two.
Morning, Greg. Morning, everyone.
Can you hear me all right, Paul?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I'll focus on you, Jimmy. Paul's just connecting in there to the audio. Right, come here. Tell us about your show, people know. You see, everyone knows, but there's always new audiences coming through, so it's no harm letting people know what they can enjoy listening to your show, Jimmy.
Yeah, so I'm back, and I used to be Wednesday night, Greg, from say 8 to 10, or 9 to 11, but I'm back on Thursday nights from 8 to 10, which is great. And Centre Stage is the name of the show. And again, it's just fantastic to be coming back. And coming back, as you know, Greg, it's Irish music is what we promote.
Oh, you love it, Jimmy. I mean, you know, and you can tell when someone's passionate about something. You can't put it on. Well, you can try, but you get found out. This is music that you love. This is music that you're listening to. These are artists that you're passionate about, either, you know, introducing new artists or supporting them. You know, this is all coming really natural to you, I think.
Yeah, it is. And like, it's probably we're 6-7 years now, Greg, promoting Irish music. And Highland have always been a huge support of Irish music right throughout every show. And it's just fantastic. And like, you know, as Sarah was talking there about social media, Greg, the power of it. And that's where we've been able to reach out to artists from Kilkenny to Wexford to Kerry to Belfast, Derry. So it's really strong. And you know what? The last 2 years, I've been talking to artists, and a lot of them haven't been performing. What they've been doing, Greg, is writing songs, writing music. And I think there's I call it a tsunami of good music that's ready to come to us, and it's already come to us. So look, Thursday night, 8 to 10, and once a month, Greg, I started something before, back in 2019, was I brought a special guest co-presenter on, and they picked 7 or 8 Irish songs that they could relate to, and it could be anything from Joseph Locke to The Four of Us to Stunning, and that worked really well. So that's a thing I'm going to start again. So once a month, somebody's going to come on and be a great guest co-presenter, and it worked really well because, you know, I learned some new songs and new music that I'd never heard of before. So that's just going to be something extra special on a Thursday night.
People be on the journey with you too. Paul, can you hear me okay now?
I can hear you, great. Can you hear me?
I'm fine. People are already enjoying you at the weekends, but you're looking forward to getting back to your shows too.
Absolutely, Greg. We are, both myself and Jimmy. We're just chomping at the bit here. And as Jimmy said, because of the pandemic and that, we have noticed, you know, everybody's noticed the Irish artists have felt to be left behind because they can't express their art. And we were that platform for them at Highland Radio with everybody else. So we're just looking forward. We've had so much since the announcement has been filtering in the background. You wouldn't believe how many people have contacted us already, and we have a lineup at the minute right up until the end of May.
Wow. Okay, so that's impressive. And there's something about the live performances, isn't there? There's raw, there's a uniqueness to it. I don't know, as much as there's just a different side to it. It's not. Excuse me. You know, with my program, I don't have as much time. So if someone comes in to perform, you have a brief chat with them, they sing, you thank them, and then they're away. It's different with your program, isn't it? It's almost like it's like a session. I don't know. It's a different approach, and you get more out of it, I think. With no disrespect to any guests on my show, it's more a credit to yours.
No, well, that's what we have found, and we've built up this fantastic relationship with so many artists since we started the program. But what we've decided to do this time, Greg, is because to give every artist as much airtime as possible, we're kind of restricted to 2 acts a night. You know, and people, what we're asking people to do is if they have something coming up. Our problem was before we didn't want to let anybody down, so we were trying to squeeze and help as many people as possible. And now we're just, as I say, we're concentrating more on the music, plus concentrating on 2 artists and per night. So if people want to get in touch with us before an event as much notice as they can, so we can get them on. We really, really want to focus on the artists and give them as much time and give them as much respect as we can. You know, and that's what we're really looking forward to.
Great stuff. So when are you on air? And give us the times and all.
We are back on the Monday nights. The Monday night sessions are back on Monday night between 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. with a new slot, which is great. We're looking forward to that as well too.
It's a cracking time of the evening.
Absolutely. Yeah, great. Plus, we are on the Saturday shuffle between 10 and 1 every Saturday. So get that on too.
And Greg.
Yes, Jimmy.
Say as well, it's fantastic. For credit to all the team there in Highland the last 2 years. The advances in technology, because when I look at what you're doing on the OBS, which is the broadcasting system, which is going live on the Facebook and the Twitter and the Instagram, that's really good from Monday night sessions perspective, because now we can stream that out, and it's going to be, because a lot of artists would have asked us in previous years, can I get a recording of the show? Now it's going to be there for them. And that's really
well. I know. I'll be casting it up to my TV. Well, a lot of the TVs now, that smart TV that we're giving away there, it's got it's got Facebook Watch built into it. It's got YouTube. You're streaming on both of those. Bang it up to your big screen. It's going out through your surround sound. You know what I mean? There's never been a way to enjoy Monday night sessions. Listen, both of you, great to chat to you.
Thank you, Greg.
Great to see you again. We really appreciate you coming on. This program. All right, then 086 60 25,000. That is the WhatsApp text line. 07491 25,000. Texter says, great to hear that all my favorites are back at night. Love you, Greg, too. Well, thank you very much. Looking especially forward to hearing Marty Friel. Okay. All right, there it is. Okay, we're going to take a break. I want to say hello to Michael again, though. Michael, you're always so gracious, you know, in just sharing your time. It's your time and you're sharing it, and I love that about you.
Oh, I'm not a bit gracious. I've been complaining bitterly to Fionnuala the whole time.
Did you at least get a cup of coffee or tea?
I was offered a cup of coffee the minute I came in the door. I love this place. It's great.
I love it. We have the new coffee machine. It makes everybody want to make coffee. It's fine now.
Bring your own capsules.
That's it.
It is actually lovely. All right. Okay, we're going to have more from. No, it is. I might not be welcome back if I be too cheeky with Fionnuala. I think I know my limits. I'm just afraid I might be encroaching on them. But listen, I'm going to be good from now on. Okay, it is the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. We'll be back with more We'll get some conversation from Michael as well as Fionnuala, and as well as that too, we're all very excited. It's brilliant. We're talking about the return of all of our favourites in the evening times as well. Okay, but what we'll do is we'll take a break. Rejoin us.
Once there was a boy called Adam who sent a hug to some incredible places. This St. Patrick's Day, An Post and Adam King need your help to send 100,000 hugs across the world.
Kate Mila Hugs.
Get a free hug postcard with any purchase at your post office or onpost.com, and when you send it, we'll make a donation to Children's Health Foundation and Cork University Hospital Charity. Send Kate Mila hugs, send joy, send love. An Post, for your world.
I practice mixology. It's like biology, only with more gin.
Andy, bartender.
I am a caffeine delivery technician.
Sharon, barista.
I use my experience to make yours better.
Stanley, tourism experience manager. They've all been explaining their jobs in their own words on behalf of Northern Ireland's tourism and hospitality industries. Discover hundreds of amazing opportunities in tourism and hospitality right now when you search careerscope.uk.net/NI. Explain them any way you want.
At Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms, we are now operating out of one new state-of-the-art showroom in Donegal Town. And we invite you to visit our new 5,000 square foot Donegal Town showroom to discover the latest eye-catching designs. Remember, at Cherrymore, you're dealing directly with a manufacturer, which means high-quality kitchens at factory prices. Start planning your dream kitchen or bedroom by calling Cherrymore on 074 9725 822. Cherrymore, 25 years delivering value, quality and service all over Ireland.
Save hundreds of euros on custom charges shopping online with Space Hub Dairy. We provide a full virtual office address mailbox service for all your business and personal use. Save your business hundreds, possibly thousands on custom charges with Space Hub Dairy. Call 048 7187 8077 for more details.
Century Complex is the perfect family day out. Kids will love exploring Century Play. There's lots of tasty options available at Backstage Bar and Grill. And at Century Cinemas, we're showing entertaining kids movies, rom-coms, actions, adventure movies, dramas and more. Call us on 074 91 or visit centurycinemas.ie.
Iha an tríú Abron tugamid le céile chun ar bhirrmacha déanóibh Eliana. Cowrowy an áisnéis a chuirí tú ar fáil le taispeáin cóbal gála serviceí riachtanach i ngach chuid an tír. Ar an dainach tríú Abron bí mar chuid de haibcí na hÉireann, bís an áibh. Tá breis eolais de fáil ar census.ie.
Mike Denver in concert with guests Ray Lynham and Brendan Shine at the Inishowen Gateway Hotel Buncrana on Sunday, March 13th. Tickets at hotel reception and ticketmaster.ie. That's Mike Denver with guests Brendan Shine and Ray Lynham at the Inishowen Gateway Hotel Buncrana, Sunday, March 13th.
All children aged 5 and over are being offered a COVID-19 vaccine. Their vaccine will help to protect them and the rest of the family too. The advice from the World Health Organization is that the COVID-19 vaccine is safe for children this age. So if you have questions about their COVID-19 vaccine, we have answers you can trust. For information and to book an appointment for your child, visit hsc.ie. From the HSC.
At Smith's Daleside, our Munchie range of highly palatable calf feed enhances rumen development and maximises performance. Our heifer range is the excellent choice for all breeder stock. Call Smith's Daleside on 074 9171 300.
Hi, Raymond Sweeney here. If your vacuum cleaner has seen better days, call into us at Ben Sweeney Euronics for a look at the new Samsung Turbo Cordless Stickback. This lightweight, easy to control vacuum cleaner picks up fine dust on carpets and on hard floors. With a 40-minute battery life and a massive 150 watts of suction power, it is now available for €299. Ben Sweeney Euronics, Port Road, Letterkenny, and the shopping centre, Dunlow.
Ben Sweeney Euronics. We deliver, we install, we care.
Is the appearance of your staff important to your business? It's the first point of contact for customers when entering your premises. At C&M Embroidery in Letterkenny, they have a huge range of clothing covering all areas of the workplace. It's widely known that customers warm to and trust employees that present themselves well. Have your company name embroidered or printed on all your work uniforms. Contact C&M Embroidery on 07491 28097 and get your staff looking their best.
Text 086 60 25,000.
All right, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. So we're talking about, we're promoting things, and Oisin Kelly's listening and he's going, well, I want a piece of that. And he says, please, can you mention, we never said please, he says mention, and I'm going to listen to Oisin. Updates from Finn Hawks against Bows from 8 o'clock this evening with Diarmuid Doherty. And it's a significant game, of course, because this is the first home game of the season for Hawks. I think they lost last time out, so they'll be looking to get some points in the bag at home to Bows. It's going to be a big one. Great news, Highland have missed it all. Good to have Paul back, Annette and Garrett in Strabane. They also say they love this show as it's always so informative, which is nice to hear. Right, Michael, what have you been watching this week, dare I even ask?
This week, because it did so well at the SAG Awards, I decided to watch Coda, which is up for an Academy Award for Best Film, and I was expecting great things out of this movie. It's a story you've seen before. Teenage girl. She wants to pursue a music career, get into University of Music. There's a cute boy. It's got all those tropes that you'd expect, and it does them very well. But the spin on this movie is, the clue is in the title, CODA, Coda, Child of Deaf Adults is what that acronym means. And the spin on this story is that in her family, she's the only member who can hear. And she's a full-time translator for her parents and her brother. They run a family business together, which is struggling. And the story really is that she wants to go away and make a life for herself as a singer. And in her family, of course, there's a bit of conflict there, which is really cleverly built into the concept because obviously they don't understand this world of music and singing. And even the idea that she's a great singer is completely alien to them. This is a very funny movie. It's a very heartwarming movie. As I said, it's the sort of thing you've probably seen 100 times before, but the spin that's on this story is very clever, very heartfelt. This is a movie where I can honestly say I laughed, I cried. It works. I can see why it's up for an Academy Award. There's not a hope in heck of it winning because things like Power of the Dog will overshadow it, unfortunately. But I think it's a better movie. Though?
Can they ignore it? Because this is universally loved. Critics and audiences love it.
Yes.
I mean, can they retain credibility and ignore it?
I think they will ignore it because I think, it's just Oscars have to be, they'll go for an angsty sort of movie,
Arty.
Yeah, arty, and we were chatting about this in the break, and Fionnuala she's also got this on our list. That again, it's not an Oscar winner, even though it deserves to be for those reasons. It's not arty and angsty, and it's a feel-good movie in so many ways, and it should win because it tries to do things that other movies sometimes fail to do. Like, it's not schmaltzy and it doesn't come across as fake and it doesn't come across as contrived, whereas 100 other movies doing this same story might well do. This is really lovely, heartfelt. And then Amelia Jones, who is Aled Jones's daughter, and I'm sure so many people remember him from so many things. She's incredible. Oh, like Walking in the Air. Walking in the Air was the big one. And the Snowman,
you mean, the only one you were trying to avoid.
That's the one. So she's amazing. She carries this. Marlee Matlin, who I loved in Reasonable Doubts, the cop show she did in the 90s with Mark Harmon, same producers as Midnight Caller. She's been in The West Wing, as Fionnuala was reminding me, loads of different movies. She plays the mother. It's an absolutely stellar cast. They did very well at the SAG Awards last weekend. I think they got the ensemble or something, wasn't it? Something like that.
Yeah. And the gentleman that plays the father, I think he got Best Supporting Actor.
Deserved. He's hilarious. It's a great cast, and as I say, despite the fact that you might think, that story, it's probably, it sounds like an episode of Glee, a 2-hour episode of Glee in so many ways. Yeah. but it's not. It's so...
Well, that's it, Fionnuala, because, you know, when you go down the same path with a story, and from my understanding of it, there's no massive twists and turns here. It kind of is going where you expect it to go. It's a sign of a good film if it still gets so many positive reviews.
Yeah, to be honest, and you know me, I love a good bit of schmaltz every once in a while. So I was kind of thinking, oh, this is going to be lovely. Now I'll watch this before I go to bed. You know, one of those kind of ones. But actually, it's so beautifully done that you really get an insight into what it must be like to be a parent, a deaf parent of you know, a hearing child, you know, and also then on the other side of it, the fact that she is the only hearing person in her family, you get an insight into, you know, the responsibilities that she feels weighs upon her and that kind of thing. It's just really well done.
Do you think this is resonating maybe because, you know, there's so many people in caring roles that, and I haven't watched it so much disadvantage, but they feel they have to make choices or they make sacrifices, or does it touch on that? Is that maybe why it's...
It does come into that, and there is that kind of a conversation and conflict in it, but in no way does it... It's just the way that it does it. You know what I mean? As Michael said, it could be it could have ended up being just a complete mushy tear fest, just going for that. It didn't really... It kind of went from... And obviously, not being a person with a hearing difficulty, I don't... You know, I'm speaking from my own experience, but it really felt like that it was very real. And I think you could really tell that as far as I'm aware, and I'm 99% sure, Marley Matlin and her husband are actually the producers of this. And they're very much involved in the deaf community in the United States and promoting deaf actors, promoting like deaf culture, and that, you know what I mean, that it's not... something that needs to be fixed. It's something that we should all be embracing, and that we should be bringing more people, you know, deaf people more into our community rather than trying to fit into their, you know, back and forth, that kind of thing, that it should just all be blended together.
So it sounds like an important film as well as... It sounds important.
I think, to me, when I was watching it, Mike, and you can agree or disagree, you could sit down and watch this film with your 6 and 7 year old. And you know what I mean? And and they would get something from it. You could sit down, and I'm always saying, don't watch things with your granny. 100% watch this one with your granny.
That's because of the stuff you normally watch.
I'm opening this up now. Yeah. Everybody can sit down and watch this with their granny. Yeah. And
unlike Yellowstone, which you cannot watch with your granny.
Well, this one, I just think anybody could watch it and you get something from it.
I think it's universal because although it is about a very specific family with a very specific issue, it's a universal theme. Any parent who doesn't quite get or understand what their child is passionate about, particularly if that child is pulling away from them and trying to forge their own life, I think that's a theme that's universal. And I think it captures that irrespective of the fact that these characters are or are not deaf. It's a universal theme, and I thought they captured that beautifully as well. I was really emotional.
I was like really upset after that they weren't actually going to win an Oscar because
I thought you were about to give something. No. I thought you were about to give something.
No. I was like, the movie was just the tone was perfect in it.
Okay. Now, come here, can I ask you? I missed it at the start. Is this a cinema release?
No, it's Apple. It's Apple TV, so it's available on Apple TV, and I suppose there's other ways to see it as well. But no, it's actually, and it's a great thing for Apple because again, the more than Netflix a couple of years back, it's them flexing their muscle and showing. I mean, to even be an Oscar contender, that's impressive.
I don't like phrases like flexing muscles and stuff lately. Anyway, but listen. Good morning, Greg, and all. Great to hear all the nighttime shows are back on air. What night times will Bernard, Aidan and Tommy be on from Mary, Catherine and Andrea in Desert Martin? So do you want to... Well, I want to bring Jean Curran in here in a moment, Fionnuala, but would it be worthwhile going through it again?
I can do, and to let people know that it's off. We have the new schedule is up on the website as well, so anybody can just check in and make 100% sure. But let's just start then with Monday. So I ran through as far as Sunday, and then on Monday then we have the DL debate is going to be on from 7 to 8 as it has been over the last few years, and then from 8 to 10, as Paul and Jimmy were talking about, is going to be Monday night sessions, and from 10 to 12 we have Aidan Murphy. So Aidan is going to be with us on a Monday night now. Then on Tuesdays, we have from 7 p.m. to 9 is going to be Rosemary Rosemary's Irish country music show. So it's a country music show done bilingually. So that's going to be on from 7 to 9. And then from 9 to 12 on Tuesday is Bernard Harper. On Wednesday then, from 7 to 8, Rooly Boolia with Colin Ferreter. 8 to 9 is when we're going to have documentaries that we're working on and lining up, and we're actually working on a few local documentaries as well that hopefully we'll be able to include it, done by our own very own staff going forward. So that's an exciting area that we're getting into. And then from 9 to 12 is Tommy Rosny. Thursdays then is The Score, will be on from 7 to 8, The Score with Oisín and his great team. And then 8 to 10, Jimmy was talking about his new show, and Bernard will be on from 10 to 12. And as I said, then Fridays will be 8 to 10, Marty Friel, Tommy Rosny, 10 to 1. Will I keep going for the rest of the week?
Yeah, go on, finish off Saturday and Sunday.
All right,
on it,
6 to 8 is Frank Galligan's show. 8 to 10 will be Keith Fletcher. 10 to 1 will be my Saturday Sessions party. And 7 to 9 is going to be the wonderful Jean Kern doing her art programme. 9 to 11 is Rosemary, and 11 to 1 will be Tommy Rosny.
Let's say good morning to Jean. Hiya, Jean.
Hi, Greg. How are you?
It's great to have you with us. Listen, people have been listening to you, of course, on the radio over the last while. But tell us about your show, because this is where you do exactly what you want to do and what your listeners want from you.
Yeah. Well, it's been fabulous having had the opportunity to be on over the pandemic, and I thank Helen for all the shows that I got. But it really is great to be back on a Sunday night again with my private collection. And I suppose over the last 30 years, I've gathered up a lot of material, very eclectic, as people who have been listening to me will know. And it's great to be able to play that, because what I would normally play on a Sunday night is not really the music that somebody wants to hear at 12 o'clock during the daytime. So it'll be lots of laid back, maybe slower music.
Dare I even say it is appointment radio, that people, know they're going to get something that's just maybe even something you haven't heard before to jog a memory. It's like, you feel you have to tune into the show because you just don't necessarily know what's going to come out of your collection.
Yeah, I suppose it's like that line from, Forrest Gump, life's like a box of chocolates. You don't know what you're going to get next.
Well, hopefully you do.
So like this, every week I have a featured album or a featured artist. And I like to play tracks maybe from an album. For example, say Chris Rea's Water Sign, the I Can Hear Your Heartbeat is the one single that was taken from that, but there's also lots of other lovely tracks from that, like Love Strange Ways, that people mightn't be familiar with. So I like going off the normal track, if you like. And
because what happens is, and I used to do a bit of this as well, you go to the old reliables, don't you? Well, you push it out a bit, you say, well, hold on a second, you might be missing a couple of really good songs at the back end of this album or in the middle of it, which is fantastic. Okay. Listen, Jean, it's as I say, we've been listening to you loads, but it's great to have you back in your own slot again, and we really look forward to anything else you want to mention.
Yeah, just that before lockdown and the pandemic, I had a book club maybe the first or Sunday of the month, so we're going to start that up again too. And I haven't decided exactly. I have 2 books in mind, but people will hear very, very soon what the book will be, and we'll have a review then once a month.